Chapter 99. It's my responsibility. At that moment, a shout came from the hallway, Ms. Liang is here. At the door, Liang Lihua walked in. By her side was the petition delivered to her by Qing Shue's cronies. It looked like they realized something was wrong, so they were ordered by Qing Shue to bring reinforcement. Everybody sighed in relief instantly at the sight of Ms. Liang, and Yi Wanwan also quickly took the chance to sit up. Unsure if it was her imagination, Yi Wanwan thought she saw a shred of disappointment on Si Xia's face, as if he was unhappy at the interruption. Liang Lihua held the petition in her hand and turned to stare at Yi Wanwan in annoyance. Yi Wanwan, why is it you all the time? How much trouble are you going to make before you're satisfied? She then turned to the crowd and said, I've seen everybody's concerns, and initially, we assigned the roles randomly so that it would be fair. But since the results have caused such a big problem and rehearsals aren't going smoothly, I have decided to choose another candidate for the role of Snow White. Are there any objections? Upon hearing this, everyone was suddenly in high spirits. This brought great satisfaction to everyone, and everybody replied in unison, no. Yi Wanwan heaved a sigh of relief as well. Finally, the moment she had been waiting for. But at this moment, an unexpected voice came from her side, I object. The person who spoke was Si Xia. Qing Shue quickly ran to Si Xia and pulled at his shirt while whining softly, Si Xia, what are you talking about? The teacher has already agreed, why are you still so stubborn? Yi Wanwan looked at Si Xia warily. What is this guy trying to do this time? The boy's icy gaze swept across the room. If the roles are going to be changed over and over, are we then going to change the next candidate halfway as well? Anyway, there isn't much time left until the performance. If we choose someone else, we'll have to start from scratch. We've been rehearsing well aside from the final act, and the problem with that act lies with me. I now have things under control, and I promise that rehearsals will proceed smoothly from here on. Not only were the students stunned, but Liang Lihua had never considered the possibility that Si Xia would object. She furrowed her brows and said, but even if you can act successfully, Yi Wanwan's image is still a big problem. Si Xia replied without a change in his expression, there is a certain artistic flair and exaggeration in the theater. Yi Wanwan's image is not a problem at all. Besides, in the later stages, we could use some styling and masks to conceal and solve the problem. I will discuss all these concerns with the class monitor and bring a viable and detailed proposal to you. After Si Xia had presented his views, Liang Lihua was unhappy but couldn't protest any further. If you insist, I won't object, but if there's a problem, actually, she considered Yi Wanwan to be a secondary problem. Her biggest issue lay with Si Xia. She thought Si Xia resented that Yi Wanwan was playing Snow White, so she took his concerns seriously. But who knew that Si Xia's attitude was completely different from what the other students had said? This guy wasn't someone a nobody like her could afford to offend. The others may not have known Si Xia's background, but she was well informed and knew that he wasn't just from an ordinary wealthy family. If not for her lover confiding in her, she would never have imagined that Si Xia had such powerful backing. Chapter 100. Sacrificing my image without hesitation. I was the one who drew the lot for Snow White. I'll take full responsibility, Si Xia said. There was silence throughout the entire hall. Everyone was shocked by this unexpected development. Since Si Xia's spoken, we'll leave this for now. You can come talk to me if there are any more problems. Who cares about the petition? In the end, Liang Lihua naturally placed the most importance on Si Xia's opinion, thus she left, satisfied that Si Xia was content. After Liang Lihua left, Qing Shue rushed to Si Xia and shouted at him furiously, Si Xia, why are you speaking up for that ugly freak? Si Xia didn't respond. He might not have even heard what Qing Shue said. At that moment, his attention and gaze were fixated on Yi Wanwan. The focus in that gaze gave him a gentle and attached expression, an appearance of years and years of waiting. His gaze completely lit up the rage in Qing Shue. She turned and stomped towards Yi Wanwan and raised her hand in anger. Yi Wanwan. You shameless slut, what have you done to Si Xia? Without waiting for Yi Wanwan's reaction, suddenly, a figure swiftly flashed before her eyes. After that came the resounding sound of a slap, pa. Qing Shui's slap didn't land on her face but on Xixia's. Due to the height difference, Qing Shui's slap landed on the area near Xixia's chin. Her sharp nails left a striking bloody mark on his fair skin immediately. Qing Shui realized that she had slapped Xixia by accident and was stunned. Xixia. I didn't do it on purpose. Sorry, a trace of murderous intentions flashed beneath Xixia's glacial eyes. Take back what you just said. If there's a next time, don't come crying to me. Yuan was in despair. What grudge does this guy have for me? Within a few short seconds, he's directed tons of hate towards me. The girl's resentment has turned into something physical. However, that wasn't enough. When Xixia turned to her, his cold gaze suddenly melted and even had a trace of caution and flattery. Are you all right? Are you scared? Yuan, yes. I'm scared. I was almost scared to death by you, big brother. Who can explain what just happened? Even if she was slow, she could tell that Xixia had been teasing her on purpose the whole day. But she couldn't imagine how she had offended him that made him so vindictive. Qing Shui stared at her ferociously, then cried and ran away. Everyone else in the hall also left, one after another, in fright and uncertainty. When only Yuan and Xixia were left, Yuan couldn't help but ask, could you tell me, most respected hunk, your highness, where have I offended you? Was it because I said that my boyfriend was better looking than you so you have a grudge against me? You didn't hesitate to give up your image over this, isn't that too big of a sacrifice? Image, Xixia slowly stroked his own face that was slightly red because of the slap. This face, you like it? I feel honored. Yuan, this guy's reaction was too weird. As she stood there speechless, she saw him walking towards her. Yuan took a step back subconsciously, but he went down on his knees in front of her all of a sudden. In a kneeling position, he reached out his hand and helped her tie her shoelace that was accidentally untied. Chapter 101, I'll reject him only when heaven and earth collide. Yuan moved back and withdrew her feet. She saw that the loosened shoelace had already been tied into a beautiful bow by the boy's long fingers. Don't be scared, I don't have any ill intentions towards you, it's just that. Xixia stopped. Yuan shot a suspicious glance over. Just what? Just that. I want to stay by your side. Yuan, why the sudden change when everything was fine before, boy? If she didn't have any hearing issues, was what Xixia said a confession in disguise? Yuan stood still amidst the confusion and a song surfaced in her mind, at the place where the peach blossom bloomed. What's wrong with the world I've been reborn into? If her life before her rebirth was difficult, her life after rebirth had been upgraded to hell mode. What she was afraid of had actually happened. Suitor after suitor pursued her and each one was worse than the last. The boy in front of her could be an epic boss. Could it be that Xixia also saw my real face like Ling Dong? This face of mine is truly my greatest source of misfortune. However, she was sure to be careful these days. She hadn't revealed her face without makeup anywhere outside the dorms. Furthermore, Xixia was different from Ling Dong. With his high status and potential, he wouldn't have a sudden change in heart just because of that. Aside from that, Yuan suddenly thought of another possibility. Although she didn't know much about Xixia in her previous life, she knew that his relationship with Xiyihan was not as peaceful as it seemed on the surface. She even heard a very strange piece of gossip. It was said that Xixia would snatch any woman who got slightly close to Xiyihan. Could it be that Xixia found out about her relationship with Xiyihan and wanted to play some game by snatching his nemesis girlfriend away? She thought carefully. Xiyihan came to school last night, and immediately, Xixia's attitude towards her changed the next day. If it was true, how much does this guy hate Xiyihan that he could hit on even me? Yuan said sincerely, Xixia, no matter what your intentions are, you don't have to be so hard on yourself, okay? Please take a good look at my face, then think it through carefully. Let me tell you, this is how I look even with makeup. Once my makeup is removed, it would shock you to your core. Xia stared at her face, the corners of his mouth twitched and then he took a deep breath with a look of determination. His face recovered its warmth and he said, no problem, it'll be fine after I get used to it. Yi Wanwan wanted to break down. Her head hurt so much that she rubbed her eyebrows and said seriously, emphasizing each and every word clearly, my relationship with my boyfriend is stronger than gold and our love is rock solid. Only until the mountains become flat, until all the rivers are drained, until there's thunder in winter, until there's snow in summer and until heaven and earth collide, will I reject him. So, you should just give up. Aside from her, with his background and looks, skills and acting abilities, there was probably no girl that could resist him. But right now, she was afraid that if he was disappointed, her life would be in danger and she would not joke around with her own life. After speaking, she left immediately without waiting for Xia to respond. Most importantly, she had to keep her distance. After she was quite a distance away, Yi Wanwan heaved a sigh of relief. Who knew that when she raised her head, she would see someone she didn't want to see even more than Xia. Shen Mengqi hurriedly rushed towards her with a hasty expression, Wanwan. I finally found you. What's the matter? Shen Mengqi said in a surprised tone, don't you know? Hurry and take a look at the school's forum. The news about you and Xia has gone around. Chapter 102, Twisting the Facts. Before, when Xia helped her dodge the slap from Qing Shui, she already had a bad premonition but she never thought that news of it would spread so quickly. Yi Wanwan opened the forum to take a look. She immediately saw on the first page was a very popular topic, the story of the ugliest girl in Qinghe and Qinghe's hunk that must be told. Ugly girl and school hunk, this sensational title would attract many clicks with just one look. The post started from the time she scored first in the class for exams and described in detail how she got close to Xia, step by step. Apparently, she scored last in class on purpose to get close to Xia, then cheated on the exams to score first in class to continue sticking with Xia. Then, she cheated in the draw in her futile attempt to get the role of Snow White and get even closer to Xia and deliberately gave him hugs in class and harassed him non-stop. The whole article was illogical and humiliated her just for the sake of it. With regards to her results, all the teachers were present and Liang Lihua admitted that her results were genuine. As for the drawing of lots, she didn't even have any chance to touch the box. How could she have cheated? If she really harassed Xia, why did Xia speak up for her in the hall when Liang Lihua wanted to switch roles for the play? But all these didn't matter, nobody would go to the trouble of finding out the truth. Everyone was like the flesh-eating vultures pouncing on her to tear her apart. It was just her luck as an ugly freak to become close to their dream boy and have him speak up for her. To them, it was a heinous sin. Love the winter nights, I am a student from F class. I saw it myself, that ugly freak rubbed against Xia's body on purpose during class. Disgusting. Crayon without Shin-chan, oh my god, really? That's gross. As the saying goes, ugly people always make more trouble. She should take a good look at herself in the mirror. How dare she actually go after Xia? Left hand reversed image, our dream boy has a good temper and wasn't cautious with her. He even took it upon himself to kiss her. Damn, who could kiss her with that face of hers? If it were me, I'd have puked out last night's dinner. Sprinkling Z to empty some avoided memories, wasn't she asked to leave school before? She still hasn't left. I really underestimated this ugly freak's tricks. Love the winter nights, TSK. If she didn't have any tactics, could she toy with the big shot of Qinghe? This kind of person should be kicked out of Qinghe. Timeless, kick Yi Wanwan out of Qinghe. At the end of the post, the incident with Ling Dong was also mentioned. She was called a two-timer. She knew all these were lies, yet she didn't feel like she could explain herself. How could she explain to them? Tell them that it was one-sided and Ling Dong and Xia were interested in her? If she tried that, she was afraid she'd be spit on to death. Wan, are you all right? All these people are too much, how could they say these things about you? Shen Mengqi said indignantly. She couldn't understand why Yi Wanwan still seemed alive and well up till this point. All those messages that she sent to Si Yihan previously had been marked as read, meaning that he had obviously read them. But not only was she living well, she had seduced Ling Dong, and even Si Xia's attitude towards her was becoming warmer. Seeing Shen Mengqi's concerned face, Yi Wanwan smiled faintly and the corners of her mouth curled upwards. The creator of this thread, Love the Winter Nights, leaping and jumping all over to insult her was Shen Mengqi. Love the Winter Nights. This ID was of deep significance. TSK, she wants to get public opinion involved. She initially wanted to keep her plan under wraps for a few more days, but now was the perfect opportunity to use it. Chapter 103, Gossip Porter. But, Wanwan, since when did you have such a good relationship with Si Xia? I heard that he not only spoke up for you in front of the teacher, but he even blocked a slap from Qing Shui for you. Shen Mengqi probed. Before, the incident with Ling Dong had no effect at all on Si Yihan. So with Si Xia's special treatment towards Yi Wanwan, she wasn't sure whether it would have any impact even if she reported it to Si Yihan. She didn't expect that Si Yihan would become more and more lenient towards Yi Wanwan. Maybe Si Yihan didn't consider any others a threat aside from Guyuze. Maybe. Shen Mengqi was out of her wits. As East Asia's king of jealousy, even if Yi Wanwan did so much as to pet a dog lightly, Si Yihan might bring out a dog rod in a fit of jealousy, not to mention what he would do to a man like Ling Dong. That's obviously because Si Xia's a nice person. Yi Wanwan replied. Shen Mengqi nearly choked. She reminded her, anyway, you better be careful. There are many girls that fancy Si Xia who will definitely pick on you, especially Qing Shui. 80% of this post was sent by Qing Shui to get back at you. Yi Wanwan sneered in her heart. Shen Mengqi acted like a good person on one hand and on the other, pinned the blame on someone else. She was really cunning. Got it, I'll be careful. I'm going to head back to my dorm now. Shen Mengqi watched as Yi Wanwan left, her face filled with frustration. Before, she was glad that Yi Wanwan wasn't loved by Si Yihan anymore, so she no longer had the right to live in Jean Garden, but now she was worried that since Yi Wanwan was no longer living there, she didn't have any chance to get close to Si Yihan anymore. Si Yihan was probably too busy to answer her calls. She tried asking him out through text before, but like rocks, those messages sunk in the sea. Sometimes, she even felt like she was a robot providing him with updates on Yi Wanwan, since he only responded to news about her. This feels terrible. After settling things with Shen Mengqi, Yi Wanwan left using the back door and entered an internet cafe at the school entrance. She found a single booth and sat down, then she entered Qing He's school forum. As she was about to sign in, she recalled that her original ID was even more disgusting than Shen Mengqi's, Love the Winter Nights. It was, Love Zhe for 100 decades, thus, Yi Wanwan created a new account with another name, Gossip Porter. After she created the account, Yi Wanwan drafted a post. The title of the post, Flashing News. Qing He's beauty, Shen Mengqi, was actually a mistress that stole her best friend's man. The content was the same as the title, just with the addition of this simple phrase. Yi Wanwan casually posted it after she was done editing it. As expected, this extremely eye-catching title immediately attracted a ton of responses. Cute and handsome guy, damn. Shen Mengqi, isn't she my goddess? She's involved in this. Crayon without Shin Chan, users who create rumors like that will be blocked. Most handsome, this is definitely fake. I can't believe a simple and kind girl like Shen Mengqi would be defamed by people as well. Love the Winter Nights, I think this person is just jealous. Dazed little cutie, is the person talking about the incident involving Shen Mengqi, Jiang Yan Ran and Song Zihang? I think I've heard about it. Love the Winter Nights, where did you hear such nonsensical rumors? Did you see it for yourself? Dazed little cutie, Oh, I didn't, I heard it from someone else. Sprinkling Z to empty some avoided memories, since there's a person who purposely wants to defame Shin Meng-chi, naturally they'd create rumors about her. This kind of rumor can't be trusted. Crayon without Shin-chan, if this person is so sure, show us proof. Why are you hiding behind your computer and rambling on? You think we're a bunch of tools? Ha, in your dreams. Chapter 104, the video that spoke the truth. After the post went up, Yi Wanwan was lashed at by Shin Meng-chi's guardians. Many familiar IDs popped up. Those few netizens who claimed that they saw what happened that evening and were flooded by criticism and were even called rumormongers. There was an unspoken rule in the entertainment circle that the truth wasn't important, whoever controlled public opinion ran the world, and it was the same in this situation. This was also why Shin Meng-chi dared to fabricate lies to prove her innocence. Yi Wanwan wasn't anxious at all as she watched them lash out silently. Sprinkling Z to empty some avoided memories, TSK, the thread starter hasn't dared to show their face. Love the winter nights, it was all made up. They just started a rumor to stir up trouble. I've encountered many people like this before. When everybody was almost done lashing out and agreed to treat the post as a rumor, Yi Wanwan posted a clip right as the post was about to fade away. While Shin Meng-chi and Jiang Yan-ran were fighting the night before, she had secretly recorded everything on video. Compared to Shin Meng-chi's post based on hearsay, hers had video evidence. In the Qinghe school forum, gossip about her as Qinghe's ugliest girl appeared every day, but it was never resolved as either a truth or lie. Especially since she started sitting with Si Xia, it was discussed almost daily. Everybody was probably tired of her, and this post by Shin Meng-chi merely deepened their hatred of her. Anyway, her reputation was as black as charcoal and couldn't possibly be any darker, but Shin Meng-chi was different. She was the beauty of Class A, the famous beauty of Qinghe. This goddess, who was in the hearts of many boys, was as pure and perfect like a piece of snow. To think that she actually seduced her best friend's man secretly, this gossip was much more explosive than the daily speculations about this ugly freak whose reputation was already smeared. Revealing this piece of gossip about Shin Meng-chi at this time could divert attention away from her. For people unable to clear the air about themselves, it was common practice to use explosive content to divert people's attention in the entertainment industry. After she posted the video, Yi Wanwan ordered some drinks and snacks and waited patiently in her seat. After a few seconds of silence, the post which had been dying down blew up again. Lonely heart, oh my god. What did I just see? Everyone, hurry and look at this juicy gossip. Cute and handsome guy, damn. It's actually real. The goddess was even hurt by the phone Jiang Yan-ran smashed into her face. I am little cutie 123, what drama? Aren't Shin Meng-chi and Jiang Yan-ran really close? It's surprising to have a third party involved. Most handsome, huh, is this some kind of misunderstanding? A windy summer, the video clip is out, what kind of misunderstanding is there? Didn't you hear Jiang Yan-ran saying that she even took the initiative to kiss the guy? She didn't even have the conscience to deny it. Why did she choose to go out alone with her man on Jiang Yan-ran's birthday, kissing and talking about being together after graduating, using all this intimate language? Dazed little cutie, the video clip speaks the truth. This is so much more exciting than the post next to it. No wonder the thread starter didn't make a sound. She was saving up for her big move. Shin Meng-chi can't rebut this time. Yi Wanwan's post went up the ranking of popular posts very quickly due to these netizens and immediately overtook the popularity of the post about herself. The netizens who had been busy fighting in her post then all moved to the post about Shin Meng-chi, pleading the thread starter to release more gossip. Chapter 105, a ticking time bomb. After some time, that familiar ID appeared again. Love the winter nights. Did Shin Meng-chi actually initiate the kiss or made that promise? All those words were said by Jiang Yan-ran alone. We don't know whether it's the truth or not, right? Furthermore, even if Shin Meng-chi really did it, it's no crime to like someone. Jiang Yan Ren only had a one-sided crush on Song Zihang and they weren't even a couple, so how could you call Shen Mengqi a third party? Yi Wanwan took a bite of rice and then took her own sweet time to reply. Gossip Porter, TSK, even those people with a small brain would know that whatever Jiang Yan Ren said was naturally told to her personally by Song Zihang. Whether it's the truth or not, that goes without saying. Also, Jiang Ya Ran and Song Zihang grew up together and were engaged since they were little. Many people in their circle knew about this. You think with Shen Mengqi and Jiang Yan Ran's good relationship and Jiang Yan Ran telling everything to Shen Mengqi that Shen Mengqi wouldn't know about this? Even if she didn't know about this, she would have known that Jiang Yan Ran liked Song Zihang, and she shouldn't have kept Jiang Yan Ran in the dark while being intimate with Song Zihang in private. Yes, it's no crime to like someone. But she should have openly declared that she liked him and fought with Jiang Yan Ran fair and square. I believe nobody would say anything about her then, but what's the point in playing games? Could it be that she was using the same tactics on other people? Love the winter nights, everything that was said above was completely made up, it's just vicious slander. Request for the moderator to delete it. Gossip Porter, the clip I have speaks the truth, how is it made up? The post before was purely based on hearsay, yet Yi Wanwan still got so much humiliation, but what I posted was made up. Don't you think that's a bit hypocritical? I am Little Cutie 123, I feel that what the thread starters said makes sense and the conjecture was very reasonable. Dazed Little Cutie, I support the thread starter. Love the winter nights is a bit weird. She was so enthusiastic when we were talking about Yi Wanwan, and when people said that the poster had no evidence, she attacked them. Yet now, she's speaking up for Shen Mengqi. Anyway, if it was me, and my crush fell for my best friend and even confessed his love to her, I would definitely not forgive her if she kept it from me and went out on a secret date with him even after knowing that I liked that guy so much. Isn't truth the most important thing between friends? If she hid this kind of thing, I would never believe that she's not up to anything. Probably because she was guilty, Shen Mengqi's ID didn't appear anymore. She was probably thinking of ways to get someone to remove the post. Although there were still some boys speaking up for Shen Mengqi, the girls were more active since girls are usually more aggressive in forums than boys. Furthermore, girls abhorred these kinds of actions, so the majority of public opinion was on Jiang Yan Ran's side. This issue didn't beat Shen Mengqi down completely, but merely proving her innocence would keep her busy enough, so she wouldn't keep finding trouble for Yi Wanwan. Scrolling through the post, everyone was talking about Shen Mengqi. While her post slowly sank down, Yi Wanwan then returned to school. After she went back, Yi Wanwan didn't head to the dormitory straight away, but instead, she took a stroll around the little lake. She was unsure whether it was her imagination, but she felt a little uneasy, like something was going to happen. This issue with Si Xia was a ticking time bomb. It was easy to settle things with Ling Dong, but what should she do about Si Xia? Chapter 106, You've Never Loved Me. Yi Wanwan couldn't go to Si Yihan and ask whether his nephew was trying to tease her, right? Both these relationships were intertwined. Si Yihan is Si Xia's ninth uncle, and if she rushed to complain hastily, wouldn't that sow discord between them? As Yi Wanwan was thinking about how to solve this problem, she suddenly heard an angry voice nearby. Jiang Yan Ran, I never thought you would be so scheming. Aside from plotting against Mengqi and hurting her, you actually posted those things on the school's forum to ruin her reputation? Yi Wanwan raised her brows. What a coincidence, Song Zihang. She saw that Song Zihang's face was in a fury and the girl standing in front of him was pale. Both her eyes were red and her body was trembling as she explained emotionally, I've already repeated myself many times, that wasn't posted by me. Even if I did, was there anything wrong in the post? Wasn't she stealing my man? Didn't she betray our friendship? Song Zihang sneered, his eyes filled with disgust. Jiang Yan Ran, you are impossible to reason with. I don't belong to you, neither do I have anything to do with you. The engagement was just my family's wishful thinking, I am not their puppet. I have someone I like. If it wasn't for you coming between us, I would have been together with Meng Qi a long time ago. She suffered so much because she cared about your feelings. But you hurt her this way. You're the third party between us. The way he looked at her was akin to a knife stabbing through the girl's body. Jiang Yanran's expression was blank all of a sudden. She then looked like she was in excruciating pain and smiled bitterly. Ha! Ha! Song Zihang, we've known each other since we were in our mother's wombs. You've said that you would marry me, would protect me and let no one bully me, wanted to be with me forever, but now you tell me that you don't have anything to do with me, that I'm a third party. I'm a third party. The girl's last two words were weeping blood. But the man was distant, that was all in the past when we were young. Don't bring up those childhood jokes to bother me. Jiang Yanran's nails dug into the palms of her hands. Bother you? I remembered them all for over a decade, I recited them for over a decade, looked forward to them for over a decade, yet they were all just me bothering you. Song Zihang, do you even have a heart? Answer me, after all these years, you've never loved me? Even for a brief moment? At this moment, Song Zihang's phone beeped. He looked at the message and his eyes became soft, but when he lifted his head and looked at Jiang Yanran, his entire face was filled with annoyance. He replied coldly, Jiang Yanran, I'll be honest with you, no. I've only treated you as a sibling. But now, you've drained the last bit of feelings I had for you. I'll give you an hour to consider deleting that post yourself. If it's not deleted after an hour, don't blame me for being heartless. Song Zihang turned and left immediately. Jiang Yanran's lips trembled and her eyes were red, her tears seemed to have drained out. She stood there in a daze looking at the man's receding figure like all the anger in her body had been wrung out. After a long time, she walked numbly, step by step, towards the lake robotically. Chapter 107, You were the one who created the post? Yi Wanwan was in hiding and had seen everything up to this point. Not good. Something's up with Jiang Yanran. It isn't that because of my interference, instead of allowing Jiang Yanran to come to her senses, she's considering suicide, right? Yi Wanwan thought that at this point in time, Jiang Yanran didn't have a deep affection for Song Zihang yet and was salvageable if she came to her senses, but it looked like she was wrong. The two of them grew up together. Jiang Yanran's wish ever since she was little was to marry Song Zihang and become his wife. Now that her dream was dashed, it wasn't an exaggeration to say that her whole world had fallen apart. Furthermore, she was betrayed by her most trusted friend at the same time. She had personally suffered from Shen Mengqi's skills after all. Back then, she was also really close with her and would go everywhere with her, played with her, fought together, cried and laughed with her, skipped classes with her, chased Guyuze with her and even repeated a grade in school with her. Not only did she treat her as her best friend, she even saw her as her future sister-in-law and treated her as family. Who knew that behind her back was a plot to ruin her? The more you care, the more upset you'll be when you find out the truth. Seeing that Jiang Yanran was only half a step away from the lake, Yi Wanwan pinched her nose bridge, quickly walked out of the dark and called out leisurely, Oh! Look who it is. Isn't this our Miss High and mighty Jiang Yanran? Being here so late at night, don't tell me you're trying to take your own life because you got ditched. Jiang Yanran's back stiffened. Her initial dull and sluggish eyes suddenly glared towards Yi Wanwan fiercely. She gritted her teeth and said, Yi Wanwan. You're happy seeing me like this now, right? You're pleased, right? Yi Wanwan smirked and with a snarkish tone, she said, Of course, if you jumped now that would make me even happier. Why aren't you jumping anymore? You, Jiang Yanran's face turned red in anger, you wish. Jiang Yanran took a step back after saying that, It's just Song Zihang, why would I care? With my family background, I can have any man I want. I just hate being lied to. Oh, not bad, it worked. Yi Wanwan nodded repeatedly, right, that's right. Big Missy Jiang naturally didn't have to worry about marriage. It's his loss. Seeing that she was as aggressive as a rooster and looked like she could fight with her for 800 rounds, she had probably given up the idea of suicide. Yi Wanwan heaved a sigh of relief and sat down on the grass casually, continuing to scroll through the post. Jiang Yan couldn't give in to being provoked. She had been prepared to have a big fight with Yi Wanwan but didn't expect that she would play with her phone, halfway through the quarrel. She felt like she'd be punching a strawman, causing no damage no matter how hard she punched. After her emotions fluctuated wildly, she felt like all the energy in her body had been drained. She sank to the ground and hugged her knees expressionlessly. Yi Wanwan, do you hate me that much? Am I really that intolerable? Seeing that Yi Wanwan didn't respond and kept focusing on her phone, Jiang Yan subconsciously looked over. In the end, when she saw that Yi Wanwan was in the midst of replying to the post, her expression changed. In Yi Wanwan's reply box, the ID indicated, Gossip Porter. You're Gossip Porter. You were the one that wrote that post about Shin Mengqi? Jiang Yan asked in astonishment. Chapter 108, Let's Team Up. She initially thought that the post was created by Fang Qin or someone else who was there and had witnessed the injustice done to her, but she didn't expect that person to be Yi Wanwan. This post that was speaking up for her, helping her right wrongs, was unexpectedly created by the one she had always seen as an enemy, Yi Wanwan. How could it be? Isn't Shin Mengqi your best friend? Why did you do this? Jiang Yan asked in a daze. Yi Wanwan raised her brows and looked at her. Scoff best friend? She was also your best friend. But I'm not like you, so stupid that you needed someone to tell you before realizing that you were being fooled. Actually, Yi Wanwan felt quite guilty when she said these words, as she herself had also been stupid for her entire life before her brain started working again. Jiang Yan realized that she didn't understand the girl in front of her at all. Could it be that Yi Wanwan didn't blurt those words out accidentally, but she actually said them in front of everybody on purpose? Could it be that Shin Mengqi also double-crossed Yi Wanwan and she found out, so her attitude took a dramatic turn? The more Jiang Yan thought about it, the more plausible it was. She even remembered how Yi Wanwan had been cast out of their group. It was when Shin Mengqi accidentally revealed that Yi Wanwan had a sugar daddy outside of school, had a chaotic private life and even contracted a dirty disease. Thinking back, considering Shin Mengqi's character, the credibility of everything she said was questionable. Despite Jiang Yan's shocked expression, Yi Wanwan knew that she was smart enough to understand most things. Thus, with a devious expression, she said, Big Missy Jiang, do you want Song Ziheng to fall madly in love with you? Do you want to reveal Shin Mengqi's true colors in front of everyone and ruin her reputation? Do you want to let Song Ziheng see Shin Mengqi's true colors and regret not choosing you earlier? Even though Jiang Yan didn't respond, her eyes got brighter with each sentence that Yi Wanwan spoke. It was obvious that every word resonated with her heart. At the end of her speech, Yi Wanwan winked and said, Let's team up. Jiang Yan was stunned for a moment and looked at her hesitantly. Team up? Why should I believe you? Why should I team up with you? Yi Wanwan gave it a thought. Because I'm pretty. Jiang Yan's expression darkened. Because we have a common enemy, is this reason enough? This time, Yi Wanwan replied seriously. Due to Yi Han's restrictions, there were many things that she couldn't do. She didn't even dare to leave the school every day, so she definitely needed a partner. Jiang Yan took a long time to make up her mind, then said, May I ask why? Why are you going against Shin Mengqi all of a sudden? Yi Wanwan grinned, coincidentally, like you, because she seduced my man. Your man? Jiang Yan was somewhat surprised, probably because she didn't really believe that Yi Wanwan had a man. Or maybe Yi Wanwan was like her and had a secret crush on a guy. All things considered, Jiang Yan did empathize with her. So, the harsh words Yi Wanwan used to provoke me just now, were, in fact, to prevent me from taking things too hard? Although she saw Yi Wanwan differently now, she had also just been lied to, and Jiang Yanran didn't trust others easily, so she said warily, "Don't think just by casually saying a few words that I'll trust you. We're still enemies." Chapter 109, Ninth Master wants to see you. There's a really good saying, the enemy of your enemy is your friend. You should give it some thought. If you're willing, I guarantee that one day, I can make the Song Zi Hang, who casts you aside without a second glance, turn into someone whose eyeballs are glued to you non-stop. Of course, if you want me to delete the post, I'm fine with that too. Yi Wanwan then left, confident that her extremely convincing words could entice Jiang Yanran. Jiang Yanran stared blankly at Yi Wanwan's retreating figure. Although she didn't trust Yi Wanwan, she had to admit that the story Yi Wanwan described for her was simply too enticing. What she couldn't take lying down was that Song Zi Hang actually hadn't loved her at all from beginning to end, and what she hated most were Shen Mengqi's lies and trickery. She wanted Song Zi Hang to regret his decision. She wanted Shen Mengqi to pay the price. However, she didn't know what to do by herself. If she knew, she wouldn't have landed in this state today. Yi Wanwan, should I trust her? After speaking to Jiang Yanran, Yi Wanwan returned to the dormitory, removed her makeup, put on a facial mask and took a bath. She laid in bed, thinking about how to deal with that guy. Actually, there isn't much difference between Si Xia and Ling Dong, right? Maybe, as long as I express my heartfelt feelings, Si Yihan won't care so much. Yi Wanwan grabbed her phone while thinking. Just as she was deciding whether to give Si Yihan a call, her phone suddenly rang, making her jump. When she saw the incoming call display, she was even more shocked. It was Su Yi calling. "Hello, Miss Yi. Housekeeper Su, is something wrong?" Yi Wanwan asked. "Miss Yi, Ninth Master wants to see you." Yi Wanwan's heart skipped a beat. "Where is he?" "Jialan Bar. I'm already at your school gate, see you at the usual spot." Su Yi replied. Yi Wanwan took a deep breath. "Got it, I'll leave now." After she hung up, Yi Wanwan didn't dare delay and didn't have time to pack up either. She quickly changed and left. It was like that in her past life as well. No matter where she was, whenever and wherever, if Si Yihan wanted to see her, she had to rush over immediately. Actually, whenever Si Yihan wanted to see her, nothing much happened usually. Often, after she went over, he'd be busy with his things while she sat around within his line of sight. Sometimes, he'd just take a glance at her and then let her go back. It was simply baffling. Now that she thought about it, each time Si Yihan ordered her to come to him, his condition and mood were usually awful. It was only when she appeared in his line of sight that he would be at ease. Si Yihan's in a bad mood now. What could be the cause? Linking his mood to what happened that day, Yi Wanwan inexplicably had a bad feeling. Yi Wanwan got in the car with an uneasy feeling. She tried finding out from Su Yi who was driving. Why'd he ask me to come over all of a sudden? Did something happen? Su Yi was stunned by Yi Wanwan at first glance. She didn't have any makeup on and wore a very simple white dress but was so beautiful that he couldn't take his eyes off her. She was truly a genuine beauty with flesh of ice and bones of jade, like a white lotus flower. Su Yi regained his senses very quickly and replied, "Sorry Miss Yi, I'm not too sure either. You know what Ninth Master is like, I'm just following orders." "How's his mood today then?" Yi Wanwan asked again. Su Yi suddenly went silent. Judging by Su Yi's reaction, Yi Wanwan sighed and resigned to her fate. She already knew the answer. Chapter 110, The Broken Taboo. Half an hour later, in Jialan Bar, at the entrance of the top floor in the box reserved only for designated VIPs, Yi Wanwan paused to take a deep breath and told herself to stay calm no matter what happened. "Miss Yi, please come in." Su Yi was about to push the door open when Yi Wanwan stopped him. Wait, don't open the door. Let me assess the situation first." After speaking, Yi Wanwan quietly pushed the door open, left a small gap, and then carefully looked inside. Behind her, Sui watched as Yi Wanwan acted all shady and the corners of his mouth twitched uncontrollably. However, as long as she was willing to cooperate, he was already very thankful. Even after she'd done enough mental preparation, she was still frightened by the glimpse of the scene she saw from pushing open the door. There weren't many people in the box. She only recognized Lin Kei and a few people who were probably from Si Yihan's circle. At that moment, Si Yihan was seated at the corner of the sofa, holding onto a wet tissue. He was leisurely wiping the back of his hand, which showed a visible red patch. His skin was almost torn, but he didn't seem to have the slightest intention of stopping. And his current expression was dark and cold, as if his whole being was engulfed by the dark night without the tiniest bit of light left. A pale girl stood trembling opposite Si Yihan, like a criminal who was waiting for her death sentence. The girl looked very beautiful, and with her red and teary eyes, she was even more moving. However, facing such a delicate beauty, Si Yihan's face was still as cold as ice. Seeing such a strange situation, Yi Wanwan couldn't help but be stupefied. What's going on here? As her head was filled with confusion, she could see a slightly plump young man with his face bathed in sweat trying to mediate the situation. Ninth Master, this girl didn't do it intentionally. You're a great man, you don't have to stoop to pettiness or hold grudges for past wrongs. Didn't do it intentionally? Si Yihan turned his gaze and looked towards the man. That terrible and suffocatingly unbearable glance invaded the entire space. The man was so scared that his heart almost stopped beating. He hurriedly lowered his head to avoid that frightening sight as he turned to Lin Kei for help. Young Master Lin, you see this? Lin Kei also felt that Si Yihan was being too sensitive. The girl only touched him a little, yet his reaction was as if he loathed her touch to the point that he was willing to chop off his hands off and deal with the resulting bloodbath. But what else could be done? Si Yihan's hatred for women was common knowledge in his circle. It was their fault for breaking the taboo. Lin Kei was frustrated and glared at him. Don't look at me. It's not as if you didn't know my ninth brother's rules. What's the meaning of calling this girl over? You were purposely looking for trouble. Thinking about it made his blood boil. Everything was his fault and Si Yihan's mood was already off today. This tactless dummy just had to break Si Yihan's taboo and get him involved too. As if the shadow of death loomed over them, the room full of people trembled with fear. Cui Hao was so remorseful that his intestines turned green. On a small scale, it was this woman's fault alone. However, looking at the big picture, the entire Cui family was responsible. Rumor had it that previously, the Wang family was expelled from Imperial City overnight due to an attempt to make their daughter closer to Si Yihan. This girl hadn't even gotten close to Si Yihan's body, she merely brushed his hand accidentally while passing over the wine, but this man was brutal and inhumane. As if he would reason with you. Chapter 111, A Time for Reconciliation. Thinking about the fate of the Wang family, Cui Hao finally realized his own fate and he rushed over to Si Yihan with a face of imminent death and begged for mercy. Ninth Master. I was wrong. I've learned from my mistake. I shouldn't have violated your taboo. You can do whatever you want with this woman. Do whatever pleases you. He had thought this woman was out of his league, so he couldn't bear to use her himself, offering her as a tribute to Si Yihan instead. Who knew that he sealed his own fate? Is Si Yihan a man at all? Faced with a woman of such beauty, yet he's completely indifferent to her. Once the girl heard that, her whole face was in disbelief and despair. She hadn't expected that she would be sold out just like that. However, with her status, she couldn't say a word in defense and could only fall to the ground and cry in despair. Just then, on the sofa, the man who was ceaselessly wiping the back of his hand with the disinfectant tissue suddenly turned and looked towards the door. Lin Kei followed Si Yihan's gaze and looked over, furrowing his brows. Who's hiding there? Yi Wanwan's spine stiffened. She was so frightened by Si Yihan's icy blade-like eyes that she stumbled in immediately. The moment Yi Wanwan entered, the box filled with cries of mercy and tears was silenced in an instant. Cui Hao was in a daze. He kept his mouth wide open and stood stupefied. The girl's expression was also lifeless. All they saw was a girl who entered the box abruptly, who had black hair, wore a white dress and had skin as fair as snow and eyes twinkling like the stars over the autumn streams. Lin Ke saw Yi Wanwan and his expression turned black. Why is this troublemaker here? 9th. Ninth Master. I'm here. Having been found out for her peeping, Yi Wanwan rearranged the edge of her dress nervously and walked in Si Yi Han's direction. Everybody was startled by the sudden appearance of the girl and started speculating non-stop about Yi Wanwan's identity. Doesn't Si Yi Han detest women? Why did he call a girl over himself? They thought the girl that Cui Hao found was of the highest caliber already, but compared to this girl in front of them, she suddenly became dull in comparison. Seeing the man on the sofa's bloodthirsty gaze, Yi Wanwan sighed deeply. I'm really unlucky. Why did I come when he's fuming mad? She had roughly gained a sense of the current situation. Si Yi Han hated the touch of this woman, just like a person with OCD. Some patients with OCD washed their hands for an entire day, and Si Yi Han's condition was similar. A single touch and he would wipe his hand continuously until it was all mangled. When she first found out about Si Yi Han's problem, she found it very strange. Am I not a woman too? Why is he fine with me? Si Yi Han looked at the girl standing 3 steps away and his face darkened even more. Seeing that Si Yi Han's expression was gloomy, Yi Wanwan hurriedly collected her thoughts and sat next to Si Yi Han quickly and started to pacify him. She lifted her head, looked towards Su Yi and asked, Do you have any disinfectant? Yes. Su Yi took out a small bottle of spray from his body and handed it over, then shrank away in a swish. Lin Ke shot a look over at Yi Wanwan, speechless. Don't bother, it doesn't work, he just sprayed an entire bottle on himself a second ago. Yi Wanwan ignored Lin Ke and held Si Yi Han's hand. Everybody saw that Yi Wanwan actually touched Si Yi Han's hand and was seized with terror, almost pissing on themselves. However, in the next second, everyone was shocked to find that Si Yi Han didn't seem to have any reaction and actually allowed himself to be held obediently. Yi Wanwan didn't care about the looks from everybody, she focused on spraying the disinfectant on the back of Si Yi Han's hand. Then, she used a tissue to wipe it clean, drew her rosy lips close to it and lightly blew at the red and swollen area. Finally, she kissed it as if she was coaxing a child. Better. The gentle breeze on the back of his hand and her warm and soft touch inexplicably made Si Yi Han's mania calm down suddenly. After a moment of silence, Si Yi Han nodded, Lin Ke spat a mouthful of wine out. Damn. My eyes. Cui Hao. Damn it. That actually worked. Chapter 112, Stuff. This girl simply coaxed him a little and Si Yi Han actually stopped wiping his hand. Even his frightful countenance had returned to normal and there seemed to be some warmth in his eyes. Compared to this girl in front, the girl from before was complete garbage. Cui Hao couldn't help but probe Lin Ke further. Young Master Lin, where did this sacred being come from? She's just the ugly freak. Lin Ke rubbed his chin and grumbled while he looked towards Yi Wanwan with a mind filled with doubt and suspicion. When did this arsonist, Yi Wanwan, become a firefighter? Cui Hao, huh? Ugly freak. Was Lin Ke blind? Seeing Cui Hao in a daze, Lin Ke reminded him gruffly, What huh? You're lucky you were saved. Hurry up and get your woman to leave. I was scared half to death. If it wasn't for Yi Wanwan coming over tonight, I wouldn't have been able to settle this incident. Cui Hao nodded continuously. While Si Yi Han was still in a good mood, he quickly signaled to the girl on the ground. The girl got up quickly and rushed to Si Yi Han to apologize in a jitter. Ninth Master, I'm so sorry, get out. Si Yi Han looked annoyed. The girl initially thought she was dead meat, she didn't expect there to be a solution allowing her to be let off. She couldn't believe it and was stunned for a moment before bowing non-stop. Yes. Thank you, Ninth Master, for your generosity. Before she left, the girl took a glance at the girl next to Si Yi Han out of curiosity. It turns out that Si Yihan doesn't hate women, he's just disinterested in other women. Since Si Yihan suddenly became so easygoing, Cui Hao wept in joy. Ninth Master, I'm really sorry about today, I'll punish myself with 3 glasses. Punish myself with 3 glasses. He was itching to slap himself in punishment. He thought that the girl he'd found was already of the highest quality, but who knew that Ninth Master already had a woman of such unrivaled beauty by his side. No wonder he was disinterested in all the other prey in the wild. At this moment, everybody in the box had the same thinking as Cui Hao, as they sized up the girl next to Si Yihan. Yi Wanwan didn't look at any of them. She sat close to Si Yihan without looking around, and her little hand grabbed some peanuts from the table from time to time. Si Yihan naturally noticed these unpleasant looks. However, seeing that Yi Wanwan was sitting next to him obediently and cracking peanuts like a happy little squirrel with her face filled with happiness, his expression turned warm again. Yi Wanwan buried her head and skillfully cracked a small bunch of peanuts, but instead of eating them, she placed all of them in front of Si Yihan and indicated for him to partake. Since Si Yihan hadn't had anything that whole night aside from drinks, he finished every single peanut on the girl's hand. Probably because of a guilty conscience, Yi Wanwan used every ounce of energy to please Si Yihan. After feeding him peanuts, she fed him pistachios, and after the pistachios, she fed him some fruits. Her only wish was for the situation to improve. As for Si Yihan, he had already stopped drinking and ate whatever the girl fed him. Basically, all the other innocent people in the box were also stuffed already. Lin Singledog K's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. He felt that all of them were no longer light bulbs. They were simply like the sun and moon shining bottomless rays of light. Damn it, it was agreed that nobody was allowed to bring a girl. Yet you called for a girl over yourself and tortured everybody like that? Chapter 113, Sucking Up to the Right Person. Ninth Master, this is. Someone tried to ask him. Si Yihan hated when people probed about his personal affairs. That person instantly regretted asking but didn't expect him to actually reply with a word, girlfriend. Hearing that one word, everybody in the box was shocked. Girlfriend? This is no ordinary girl. They had all thought she was just an ordinary person, but in the end, she actually was special to him. The corners of Lin K's mouth twitched as he glanced at Si Yihan. Could it be that this guy asked Yi Wanwan over to let her take an oath of sovereignty? Cui Hao wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and quickly tried to curry favor with the Ninth Master. No wonder Ninth Master rarely gets close to women, he already has such a beautiful girlfriend hidden at home. May I know your name, please? Hello everybody, my surname is Yi. Yi Wanwan gave them a simple greeting. Yi. Everybody mentally sifted through all the noble families with the surname Yi in Imperial City instantly. In the end, they still couldn't figure out exactly which Yi family it was. There seemed to be only one slightly prominent Yi family in Imperial City, but that family's status was far below everybody in the circle. Furthermore, that family's daughter was already engaged to the Gu family. Everyone just left it at that and didn't dare to probe further. They continued drinking and chatting to liven things up. Things were very straightforward from that point onwards. The project that Cui Hao spent half a year working hard on but hadn't managed to close with Si Yihan finally reached a conclusion that night. Finally, when they clinked glasses, Cui Hao was teary-eyed as he looked at Yi Wanwan gratefully, as if she was the goddess of mercy saving people in distress. He initially thought that he was dead meat. Who knew that not only was the crisis defused, he also managed to succeed in closing this important deal. Just like in ancient times when powerful ministers liked presenting women to the emperor's harem, there were all these people who presented women to Si Yihan, and he was no different. But seeing Si Yihan shun the concubine today and the way he spoiled that girl, he realized they didn't stand a chance anymore. If the others were careless, they would end up in the same situation as him just now. However, it was possible to strike somewhere else. Before leaving, Cui Hao took out a golden card from his chest enthusiastically and gave it to Yi Wanwan. He said with a big smile on his face, Miss Yi, it's my first time meeting you. This is a humble little token from my heart. Yi Wanwan scanned the card with the corners of her eyes, and her eyes glistened instantly. It was the gold card from one of the biggest luxury shopping malls in Imperial City, Parkson Plaza. With just this card, you could enjoy top VIP services and luxury goods at extremely discounted prices. Usually, aside from the internal top management, holders of the card had to spend at least 10 million. For those truly wealthy people, buying a piece of jewelry would probably be enough to reach that amount. But for ordinary people and even to the average wealthy family, they could never afford to spend that much money at a mall. This man is just simply giving me a Parkson gold card like that. Cui how? Cui. Damn. She suddenly recalled that this person might just be the young master of the Parkson Corporation. Realizing this, Yi Wanwan didn't accept it and glanced at Si Yi-han. Si Yi-han looked at Cui Hao plainly and didn't seem troubled by his actions. Accept it. Seeing that Si Yi-han consented, Yi Wanwan then accepted it. Thank you. Cui Hao heaved a sigh of relief. Don't mention it, don't mention it. I couldn't think of anything to give you. You girls love shopping, so I thought you might like this. He could tell that this woman's influence over Si Yi-han wasn't to be underestimated, so he'd better build a good relationship with her. After Si Yi-han's car left, Lin Kei turned to Cui Hao, who was next to him. Good thinking. Cui Hao forced a laugh. As the saying goes, those who adjust their actions to the circumstances are wise. But young Master Lin, where did this woman come from? Can't you tell us a little? Lin Kei lit a cigarette. I can't tell you where she came from, but I can tell you, what? You've sucked up to the right person. Chapter 114, My Feelings for You. The car moved steadily through the night and soon after, they arrived at the school gate. After the car stopped, Si Yi-han suddenly said to her, Don't believe anything Si Xia says. Yi Wanwan heard that and was slightly stunned. She tried probing further casually. Si Xia. Was it because you guys had some conflicts in the past and you're afraid that he'll do something to me? Si Yi-han's tone was exceptionally cold. You just have to act accordingly. Oh, got it. Yi Wanwan nodded. In a single moment, the atmosphere became somewhat stagnant. After sitting in silence for some time, she stared at the man in front of her seriously and spoke, enunciating each word carefully. Si Yi-han, since I've promised to start all over again with you properly, I'll never break my promise and I'll listen to you. But before that, you need to give me the same level of trust. Yi Wanwan paused for a moment before continuing, otherwise I won't eliminate the possibility of giving up halfway. Are you threatening me? The man said in a low voice akin to a venomous snake entangled around her throat. The car had become more chilly as well. She felt the arm around her waist tense up. Yi Wanwan took a deep breath to calm herself down. I admit, I'm very afraid of you and I don't have any power to fight with you. My freedom, my dignity, my body, whatever it is, you can have it all, but there are some things that I need control of, my love, my heart, and my life. Yi Wanwan suddenly moved and kissed the man's lips, which were pressed together tightly. Of course, at the moment, I seem to have fallen for you more. The moment Yi Wanwan's words left her mouth, a trace of astonishment flashed across the man's eyes, while the iciness in the car seemed to slowly crack and dissipate into the air. What did you just say? Yi Wanwan tilted her head. I won't eliminate the possibility of giving up halfway. Si Yi-han stared at her with his dark gaze and replied coldly, not this sentence. Yi Wanwan thought about it. I'm very afraid of you. Si Yi-han narrowed his eyes. Yi Wanwan. Seeing the man's exasperation, Yi Wanwan couldn't help but laugh and repeated slowly, I said, I seem to like you more and more. Si Yi-han stared at her and was still unsatisfied. Remove the extra word. All right, I've started to like you more and more. Yi Wanwan tactfully removed the word seem. Like. The man looked deeply into her eyes. What kind? What kind of like? Yi Wanwan blinked. Oh, it's the kind of like where I want to sleep with you. in the next moment, the man's pupils suddenly contracted like he had just sunken into some kind of painful memory. Before Yi Wanwan could comprehend the meaning behind his gaze, he lowered his body the next second and kissed her lips forcefully, squeezing out every inch of her gentleness and breath, and was much more intense than any other time before. Yi Wanwan let him kiss her obediently while she heaved a deep sigh of relief inside her. On the surface, she seemed to be smiling and calm, but in fact, she was so nervous that her heart was about to jump out of her chest. She actually dared to threaten Yi Han. Although she knew that this was too dangerous and courted death, there were some things, some issues with principles, that she had to let him know clearly. Otherwise, she would only keep retreating without the power to change her situation. Luckily things went well and she managed to pacify the great devil. But she didn't expect a low-level trick like hitting him with a rod and then feeding him a sweet jujube would work on this great devil. What a mysterious great devil. A long while later, the man finally ended his kiss and whispered in her ear, "Wanwan, don't ever think of leaving me. Otherwise, I can't guarantee what I'll do." Chapter 115, Flashback. Yi Wanwan was dizzy as her brain lacked oxygen and she was left in a trance. Even after living 2 lives, she still couldn't figure out what kind of feelings this guy had for her. In her previous life, her death was simply too sudden. She remembered that at that time, after a big fight, Yi Han finally agreed to the divorce. She took the divorce certificate and the first thing she did was look for Gu Yuze. With Shen Mengqi misleading her intentionally, she had always thought that she stood a chance from the start. She thought that Gu Yuze still loved her and wanted to save her, but he couldn't do anything as he was suppressed by Yi Han's power. After she had completed the divorce procedures, Yi Han actually allowed her to leave. And not just that, he even drove her to Gu Yuze personally. However, as she went to find him with a heart full of hope at the apartment which her father bought for her, initially intended for her and Gu Yuze's honeymoon, she saw Gu Yuze and Yi rolling on the bed naked. She stood by the door in a daze and saw everything through the gap in the door. Her pain was deepened after she learned the heart-wrenching truth from Gu Yuze and Yi's dialogue. Her father's loss of power from beginning to end was conspired by Yi and her second uncle, even Gu Yuze took part in it. He was already secretly together with Yi while he was still dating Yi Wanwan. Her stupidity was the true culprit that harmed her whole family. She pushed the door open and stormed in to yell at that adulterous pair like a madwoman. Finally, what she got were Gu Yuze's disgust and Yi's arrogant contempt and ridicule. Each and every word pricked her bleeding heart. "Yi Wanwan, why don't you look in the mirror, just look at yourself. Gu Yuze isn't blind, what crazy man would like you? Did you know how disgusted Yuze was when you clung to him with your fat body? Now, you look like neither human nor ghost. Where did you get the confidence to think that Yuze would fall for a repulsive and idiotic person like you? Plot against you? So what if I did? You can only blame yourself for being so stupid. Anyway, this was all because you shamelessly used your dad's power and status to force Yuze into marrying you first. Wanwan, sorry, I've only had feelings for Yi all along." She wasn't sure how she managed to leave that place. She was in so much pain that she lost her senses as she went to find Shen Mengqi to pour her heart out to her as usual. What she didn't expect to find was Yi Han at the door of Shen Mengqi's villa. And Shen Mengqi was actually confessing her love to Yi Han. She heard Shen Mengqi saying, "Mr. C, I like you. I fell for you the first time I met you. I really don't understand why Wanwan doesn't know how to treasure such a good man like yourself. If it was me, I'd definitely give my all to you." She just divorced Yi Han, and this best friend of hers who had always been standing by her side and complained about Yi Han with her, actually turned her back and confessed to her ex-husband. She was completely stunned then and didn't hear what Yi Han said. She only remembered that Yi Han's expression remained cold. He probably rejected her, and Shen Mengqi's bashful face turned pale in an instant. After Si Yihan left, she finally regained her senses and frantically ran to confront Shen Mengqi to ask her why she did this. Chapter 116, A day of jubilation for everybody, and probably because she just got rejected, Shen Mengqi took her anger out on her. She said in an extremely malicious tone with a face full of contempt as she stared at her and told her everything she had done. She told her how she played her like a fool all these years, gloating about how she sent her elder brother packing after she'd used him and formed an alliance with her greatest nemesis, Yi Yi. She cursed her to death viciously and snarled that she wasn't good enough for Si Yihan. She fought and struggled for so many years, resisted for so many years, all for a greedy and cruel playboy. Her best friend, whom she treated like her real younger sister, had harmed her from the beginning, shooting for her husband and hoping for her to die. Everybody whom she loved and trusted was all gone within a day, and her world fell apart. She couldn't remember anything that happened after that, as her mental state was in a terrible condition. She didn't even know who caused her death. The only thing that she could recall was that in the dark, her whole body was in pain, like her soul was being burnt. After all, there were many people who wanted her dead in this world, Shen Mengqi, Yi Yi, Qin Ruoxi. Especially Qin Ruoxi. After all, she snatched the position of Mrs. C away from her. With Qin Ruoxi's family background, she just had to play some tricks to make Yi Wanwan into the enemy of the C family. From the esteemed old madam of the C family down to the senior clan members, there wasn't a single person who didn't want to vacate the stain by Si Yihan's side. She naturally suspected that Si Yihan was at fault. Could it be that he was still upset about letting me go, and since he couldn't have me, he thought he might as well get rid of me? This thought sent a chill to the bottom of her heart. After all, with Si Yihan's personality in her previous life, it was really surprising for him to allow her to leave so easily. It was very hard for her to believe that he'd truly let her go. However, on the other hand, she should thank Si Yihan. If it hadn't been for him, she would never have learnt the truth and seen the true colors of all the people surrounding her. She wasn't sure what kind of accident happened later, but she hadn't recovered from all the shock or begun plotting for revenge when she inexplicably died of an unnatural death. "What are you thinking about?" The man's low warning rang in her ears. That moment just now and the expression on the girl's face made him feel uncomfortable. She was obviously by his side, but it seemed like she could vanish any time. For the first time, he realized that he couldn't see through her. He couldn't stand the feeling of being out of control. Yi Wanwan looked at his unhappy face and said innocently, "Of course I was thinking about you. Damn, I'm not even allowed to be distracted in front of him. Do you want to empty my brain, enter it and sit on the throne? Must you be so overbearing?" Although the girl's tone was undeniably fake, his face still eased up. "Head back quickly and don't wander about." "Got it, I haven't missed a single class recently, all right? I haven't been late and never left early either." Yi Wanwan unbuckled her seatbelt, bid him farewell as usual and got off the car. "Good night." The split second before Yi Wanwan got off, she noticed that the rack at the front of the car's seat contained a pile of home tutoring materials. Seeing this, Yi Wanwan's heart skipped a beat. Is he getting me home tutoring materials to stop me from going to school? If she hadn't fought and stood up for herself just now, did that mean she would have been grounded in Jean Garden tonight? So close. A long time after Yi Wanwan left, Su Yi was still dazed in the driver's seat, unable to regain his senses. When he witnessed Yi Wanwan threatening Ninth Master, he was so afraid that his soul nearly vanished. In the end, Yi Wanwan beat Ninth Master with a rod, then fed him a sweet date. She was completely fine even after scratching the tiger's whiskers and even stuffed his whole stomach with dog kibbles. Furthermore, didn't Ninth Master intend to stop Yi Wanwan from attending school anymore? He had braced himself for a world war, but nothing happened in the end. Su Yi. After a moment of silence, Si Yihan suddenly spoke without warning. Yes. Ninth Master, what can I do for you? It's all over, he's still going to flip out. Su Yi's nerves were extremely tensed. Si Han's gaze followed the little figure in the night as he spoke calmly. Your salary this month will be doubled, along with all the servants in Jean Garden. Su Yi was speechless. May I know what happened? This good fortune has come too abruptly. Su Yi was dumbstruck for at least 3 minutes before regaining his senses. Could it be, because Yi Wanwan just said that she liked him more and more? So, should we all celebrate? Chapter 117, I'll work with you. By the small lake in school, Jiang Yan sat there for almost 2 whole hours. All the while, Song Zihang called her to negotiate several times with threats and warnings. When she thought about Song Zihang's disappointment and disgust towards her, she felt as if her heart was pierced by a knife. But making her delete the post, how could she swallow this down? Just as she was thinking, she scrolled through her phone casually and saw that there was a new reply under that post. Her pupils contracted in an instant. I seek for her 1,000 times in my dreams. This familiar ID obviously belonged to Song Zihang. I seek for her 1,000 times in my dreams. Everybody, I'm Song Zihang. Firstly, I have nothing to do with Jiang Yan. The engagement was just a joke between our families. Secondly, Shen Mengqi didn't kiss me voluntarily, it was me who was unable to hold back from kissing a beauty like her. Mengqi also didn't mention us being together after graduating. She only said that she wanted to study hard now. Thirdly, I've only liked one person from the beginning, Shen Mengqi. Come at me if you have anything to say. Don't hurt innocent people. Song Zihang. You're good. Reading each and every word of defense, Jiang Yan bit down hard on her lips as the taste of blood filled her mouth. And the replies following that post were gashed at her heart like knives. Wow! The original proprietor has appeared. I suddenly find Captain Song very dashing. Am I the only person who pities Jiang Yan? She knew Song Zihang first, right? In the end, she was wrenched to the corner just like that. Furthermore, Song Zihang's words might not be completely true. But there is no way around this. In relationships, there have to be 2 people in love with each other. He already said that he never liked her and it was just wishful thinking on her part. Blame it on her inability to get him. What has that got to do with Shen Mengqi? Song Zihang's choice was also indisputable, right? If it was me, I would choose the class beauty as well. Ha ha ha. Although with regards to what Song Zihang said, there were still some people who were suspicious and felt that maybe he said those things on purpose to defend Shen Mengqi. But Song Zihang's reply still managed to change the course of the discussion and even boosted the popularity of Shen Mengqi in Qinghe. At the same time, Yi Wanwan returned to her dorm. She wasn't sure why, but she felt that the sentence she said by chance tonight, the kind of like where I want to sleep with you, sounded strangely familiar, like she'd said this phrase to someone at some point in the past, but that person definitely wasn't Gu Yuze. After all, she remembered every single thing she ever said to Gu Yuze clearly. Damn. I said something like that to someone and forgot who he was. How could I do something so degrading? Yi Wanwan cleared the rubbish thoughts in her mind and was just about to go to bed when her phone suddenly rang. The display showed Jiang Yan's name. Yi Wanwan raised her brows and answered, "Hello." The moment the call was connected, Jiang Yan's emotional voice came through the receiver immediately. Yi Wanwan. You're not allowed to delete that post. I agree to work with you in any way you'd like. I just want Song Zihang to be regretful. I want Shen Mengqi to pay the price. What a sudden change in attitude. It seemed like Shen Mengqi had already sorted things out with Song Zihang and got him to prove her innocence personally. No problem, Yi Wanwan replied. Tell me what I should do right now. Don't rush, my big missy, you can come over to my room first and we can take our time discussing it. Yi Wanwan just finished speaking before realizing that her words sounded weird, like they went wrong somewhere. Like a classic line in the unspoken rule of the entertainment circle. Alright, I'll be there right away. Jiang Yan naturally didn't know that Yi Wanwan, who knew women very well, was already driving in her heart. She agreed without a second thought. Chapter 118, Call Off the Engagement. After hanging up, Yi Wanwan opened the post to take a look. Just as she'd predicted, Song Ziheng came to the rescue of his princess. Shen Mengqi was saved and Jiang Yan became the laughingstock of the school. Now the whole school knew that she was unsuccessful with her secret crush and even fought her best friend out of jealousy. TSK, he really dared to speak up for his sweetheart and even pushed away the engagement that both families had established. The knock on the door quickly came. Coming. Yi Wanwan stood up and walked over to open the door. Yi, after seeing clearly the person who opened the door for her, Jiang Yan was speechless. Come on in. Listening to the familiar voice of the girl standing there, Jiang Yan was in total disbelief. You're Yi Wanwan. She remembered that Yi Wanwan lived alone and that there was nobody else in this dorm. But the girl in front of her was prettier than the school beauty, Qing Shui. How could she be that ugly freak, Yi Wanwan? It was said that before Yi Wanwan started applying makeup, she was fat and ugly. After she slimmed down, she was just ugly. Everybody, including herself, thought that Yi Wanwan applied such heavy makeup to hide her ugly looks due to some inferiority complex. Without it, she would have given up on herself. Qinghe was Imperial City's most aristocratic school. It had rigorous teaching methods, but it was considered open. Like international schools, they promote individualism and diversity and didn't restrict students' style of dress or makeup, but everyone put in a lot of effort to reflect well on their families' backgrounds. Yi Wanwan was the only one who embarrassed herself like that. Yi Wanwan led Jiang Yan through the door and poured her a cup of water. Sit anywhere you like. Since they were already in the same league and Jiang Yan was a girl, she didn't bother applying her makeup all over again. Are you really Yi Wanwan? Jiang Yan still felt like she was dreaming. Do you need me to return to my usual self to prove my identity? Yi Wanwan picked the green wig up. No. No need, Jiang Yan waved hurriedly, but why do you make yourself look that way every day? Yi Wanwan lifted her brows. What's wrong with how I look every day? Don't I look good? Regarding Yi Wanwan's aesthetic taste, Jiang Yan was speechless. It was Yi Wanwan's right to choose to dress any way she liked. Jiang Yan was simply shocked that Yi Wanwan looked so beautiful without her makeup, but it wasn't her business. After glancing at Yi Wanwan several times, unable to restrain herself, she got down to business and asked, You really have a plan? Yi Wanwan rubbed her chin and didn't keep her guessing. She replied directly, If you trust me, then the first thing you need to do is get your parents to call off the engagement with the Song family immediately. Also, it had to be as soon as possible. She remembered that around this time in her previous life, the Jiang family almost emptied their pockets to support the Song family and helped the Song family successfully clinch a big project with the government. This helped the Song family to rise from a small company to a company that was on par with the Jiang family, like a carp leaping into the dragon's gate. From there, the Song family's company surpassed the Jiang family year after year. Jiang Yan face turned pale instantly. What? Call off the engagement? Yi Wanwan raised her brows. Don't tell me you still haven't given up on him yet and want to marry him? How could that be? I only want him to be remorseful now. Jiang Yan's expression was slightly confused, but, Yi Wanwan, it's not as simple as you think. Both our family's companies have many business dealings and projects together, and if I suddenly ask my parents to call off the engagement, this would affect us greatly. We have to give this some more thought. Chapter 119, Take Swift Action. Yi Wanwan smiled and replied, How about you give this some more thought? I saw the news recently and heard that the Song family is trying to fight for a big project with the government. Your family has injected $1 billion into it, investing so much money within a short time. I'm afraid you guys risk your funds not turning over quickly enough and emptying the company's capital, right? Your parents helped the Song family only because they want you to have a good life in the future. Now that you've seen that boy's true colors, you should take swift action. Do you want him to make all the gains and then use all the flesh and blood he gnawed off you to take care of Shin Mengqi? In her previous life, as one of the men supporting Shin Mengqi, Song Ziheng continuously developed and expanded the company with the help of his in-laws. But he took out large sums of money in secret to pave the way for Shin Mengqi and even invested in the entertainment business. If she waited till the Song family clinched this big project before calling off the engagement, it would be too late. Jiang Yan bit her lips when she heard that and stopped hesitating. I'll call my parents now. It's just that my parents were really fond of Song Ziheng and calling off the engagement is quite a big issue. Even if I asked for it, they would just assume I was throwing a tantrum and wouldn't take me seriously. Furthermore, both families have such a big collaboration together. Yi Wanwan extended her hand out. Pass me the phone and I'll make the call for you. Yi Wanwan recalled the news she saw on the television in her previous life. After Jiang Yan took her own life, her parents cried and fainted directly in the morning hall. Mrs. Jiang passed away not long after due to grief. It was obvious that even though her parents were strict with their only daughter, Jiang Yan, they loved her deeply too. Although breaking off the engagement might cause a lot of trouble, she felt that Jiang Yan's parents would definitely stand on their daughter's side. You're making the call for me? Jiang Yan asked hesitantly. Actually, up till now, she still felt that she was just desperately grasping at straws and didn't trust Yi Wanwan completely. But looking at this girl's eyes, gave her an unconscious desire to believe her. Alas, Jiang Yan agreed. Yi Wanwan dialed Jiang Yan's mother's number using Jiang Yan's phone. Hello, Yan. Why are you calling mommy at this hour? Do you need more money? Hearing her mom's voice over the phone, Jiang Yan's nose twitched. On the contrary, Yi Wanwan's tone was full of terror and she exclaimed anxiously, Auntie. I'm not Yan, I'm her classmate. Hurry and come down to the school. Yan jumped into the river and tried to take her own life just now. Jiang Yan was stupefied by what Yi Wanwan said and wanted to speak up but was stopped by Yi Wanwan's glare. The tone of Mrs. Zhang's voice changed. What did you say? You said that our Yan took her own life. What nonsense are you talking about? Yan's perfectly fine, why would she kill herself? Are you a cheat, Auntie? I'm not a cheat, I'm really Yan's classmate. But don't worry, luckily we found her in time so she's not in danger. She's currently resting in my dorm, it's just that she's still quite unstable. If you don't believe me, you can make a trip down to school. Yan's in my dorm at the moment. Yi Wanwan gave her dorm room number. Once Mrs. Jiang heard that the girl wasn't trying to extort money or threaten her, she knew that she couldn't possibly be a cheat anymore. Thus, she quickly said, Okay, I'll be there right away. After she hung up, Jiang Yan furrowed her brows. Wanwan, by doing this. Aren't you, what? Lying? You dare to say that you weren't prepared to kill yourself just now? Yi Wanwan asked, confident that she was right. Jiang Yan was silent. If not for Yi Wanwan's sudden appearance, she might have really jumped in and would have lost her life. You've said it as well, calling off the engagement isn't child's play. It's a big issue. If we don't do something dramatic, your parents wouldn't act immediately. It's also to prevent your parents from being soft-hearted and changing their minds once the Song family simply apologizes. Yi Wanwan explained. Jiang Yan thought about it and found it reasonable as well, so she nodded instantaneously. Chapter 120, Recruiting Talent. Why are you looking at me? Yi Wanwan blinked. Jiang Yan coughed lightly and tilted her head. I just feel that you've changed drastically. Yi Wanwan laughed. Changed? Did you know the real me to begin with? Jiang Yan Ran thought about it. She wasn't close to this girl when they were roommates and misunderstood her even after she moved out from their dorm. She truly didn't know what her real self was like. Sorry about what happened in the past. I was wrong about you, Jiang Yan Ran said, slightly abashed. Why are you still helping me after how I treated you? I've said it before, it's teamwork. I need your help at times too. With Yi Wanwan's honest and direct attitude, Jiang Yan Ran was quite pleased and immediately said, let me know what you need help with and I'll help as long as it's within my limits. There's no need at the moment but in future. There will be one thing. Yi Wanwan stared at Jiang Yan Ran, with a gaze akin to a fox looking at meat. Jiang Yan Ran was uncomfortable with the way Yi Wanwan stared at her. In the future? What is it? Yi Wanwan's eyes glistened as she looked at her. If you enter the entertainment field in future, please consider letting me be your manager. If she wanted to take down Yi in this life, there was no way she could enter the entertainment field herself. After all, there was Si Yihan, the jealous lover. Amongst all the back-end jobs, being a manager suited her best. In contrast to being an actress, being a manager allowed her to broaden her network of powerful people and it would benefit her when she started her own firm later. Right now, what was most important was entering Imperial City's media PR profession and strengthening her professional knowledge. Although she was unable to recruit talent aggressively right now, if she managed to gather some potential artists, that would still be something. And Jiang Yan Ran was a ready-made strong warrior. Hearing what Yi Wanwan said, Jiang Yan Ran was somewhat surprised. Because of my parents, I do in fact plan to enter the entertainment industry in the future. But with my looks, I'm more suited for back-end jobs, right? But you, without your makeup, you look really beautiful. Why don't you just debut instead of being a manager? Yi Wanwan scanned Jiang Yan Ran from head to toe and said, clicking her tongue, my dear, I'd say that you've underestimated yourself. Believe me, with your looks, you could beat Shen Mengqi in seconds. It's just that you don't know how to show off your looks, but don't be nervous, I'll help you with a makeover next time. Jiang Yan Ran probably kept her long black hair straight and wore a long skirt every day to please Song Zihang. With this style of dressing, she thinks that she'd look just like Shen Mengqi and become the goddess of many boys' hearts. However, Jiang Yan Ran obviously didn't suit her current style. Not only was she unattractive, she looked more like a nun. In her previous life, after she entered the entertainment industry, Jiang Yan Ran had always taken compelling routes, often acting in suffering and ugly roles. But she remembered clearly that in her previous life, during one of the prize presentation ceremonies, Jiang Yan Ran went up on stage in a sexy red gown to receive the Best Lead Actress award, and that night, she beat all the female actresses within seconds. However, Jiang Yan Ran was dressed that way only once, and after that, she was never seen in that style again in the entertainment news. Probably because she was yet again brainwashed by Shen Mengqi. Jiang Yan Ran recalled Yi Wanwan's usual monstrous makeup and aesthetic tastes, obviously not convinced by her words. Yi Wanwan knew that she didn't believe her now, but she didn't mind at all. She took out an outfit from her wardrobe and gave it to her. Go change into my pajamas, then lie in my bed. Your parents should be here soon. Thank you, Jiang Yan Ran nodded. Chapter 121, Complaints. Jiang Yan Ran's parents arrived shortly after. Hearing the knock on the door, Yi Wanwan braced herself and then immediately went over to open the door. Where's Yan Ran? Where's our Yan Ran? Where's my daughter? Mr. and Mrs. Jiang were so anxious that they were sweating buckets. Uncle, Auntie, you're finally here. Yan Ran's lying in bed, hurry and take a look at her. Yi Wanwan said quickly. Both of them immediately rushed to the bed, and after seeing their daughter lying there, their hearts broke instantly. Jiang Yan Ran looked quite haggard, her face was so pale without a trace of color, and her eyes were also completely red and swollen. Mr. and Mrs. Jiang probably wouldn't have any suspicions at all. Yan Ran, why were you so silly? What exactly happened? Yan Ran, Hurry and tell daddy, did somebody in school bully you? Jiang Yan looked at her anxious parents in shock. After seeing her family, she couldn't hold back the feelings that she'd been suppressing any longer and sunk into her mother's embrace as she cried in pain, Daddy. Mommy. I feel so awful. So awful. Mrs. Jiang's heart broke with her daughter's cries, Darling girl. Oh, my darling girl. Are you trying to get mommy and daddy worried sick? What happened exactly? Yi Wanwan stood at the side, tears streaming down her face as well. Uncle, auntie, you must speak up for Yan Ran. Yan Ran was bullied so badly in school. Mr. Jiang's face filled with rage instantly. Who dares to bully my daughter? Yi Wanwan replied, It's Song Zihang and Shin Mengqi. Daddy Jiang's expression changed. Zihang and Shin Mengqi. How could that be? Zihang would never bully Yan Ran, and isn't Mengqi Yan Ran's best friend? Yi Wanwan hurriedly explained, That's not true at all. Song Zihang has never liked Yan Ran and even got together with Yan Ran's best friend, Shin Mengqi, in secret. As Yan Ran's best friend, Shin Mengqi not only kept this from Yan Ran, but she even hooked up with Song Zihang after finding out that Yan Ran and Song Zihang were engaged. Mr. Jiang said sternly, That's impossible. I know that kid's character very well. Zihang is true to our Yan Ran. Mrs. Jiang chipped in as well, Yes, we see it for ourselves every day. Yi Wanwan sneered in her heart. This Song Zihang was quite talented at leaving a good impression. No wonder Jiang Yan Ran was worried that her parents wouldn't believe her. Yi Wanwan continued with her complaints, Uncle, auntie, you guys were fooled. Song Zihang was just acting in front of you from the start. Whenever the elders of both families weren't together, he treated Yan Ran coldly and even told Yan Ran that he liked someone else. But Yan Ran was too silly and loved him too much. She didn't care about any of this and would be over the moon when Song Zihang simply smiled at her. She thought that maybe she'd be able to change him someday. As a girl, in order to please him, Yan Ran woke up early in the morning during the winter to travel over 10 miles in the dark to buy him his favorite breakfast. In the summer, she'd run over to the basketball court to cheer for him every day under the scorching sun. She's a princess and has led a pampered life at home, but in order to please him, she was the servant for the entire basketball team. She'd get snacks and water for all of them silently and even wash those sweaty and smelly jerseys. Chapter 122, What a Joke. She still knew a little about Jiang Yan Ran as she'd been roommates with her for quite some time, and at that point in time, their relationship hadn't soured yet. Just listening to all this, Mr. Jiang threw a big fit. Silly. Yan Ran, you're the apple of our eyes. How could you degrade yourself for a man? Without me, the Song family would be bankrupt. He should spoil my daughter like a princess. Instead, he treats you so poorly, as if you're a maid at his beck and call. Mrs. Jiang was in disbelief as well. Silly child. Why are you so silly? Why didn't you tell us? Yan Ran was worried that if she complained to you, Song Zihang would hate her even more. Yi Wanwan sobbed and continued in anger. After putting in so much effort, what did she get in the end? It was him enjoying Yan Ran's efforts with an easy conscience and uncle and auntie's financial support while he hooked up with Yan Ran's best friend. I couldn't take it any longer, so I made a post to condemn those two assholes. In the end, Song Zihang thought that Yan Ran was the one who posted it, so he scolded her with all sorts of awful things. He said that she was evil, cunning, and forced her to delete the post. Since the post wasn't deleted, Song Zihang actually made a clarification in the school's forum stating that he had nothing to do with Yan Ran and that the engagement didn't exist. He even said that he only liked Shin Mengqi alone from the beginning. Mr. Jiang's face became extremely gloomy. Is everything you said true? Completely true. Uncle, auntie, the post is still here. Take a look and you'll know what happened. Yi Wanwan opened that post on her phone and placed it in front of them. Didn't Shin Mengqi enjoy telling on me? This time, I'll give her a taste of her own medicine. Both husband and wife quickly looked at the post. In the quiet dorm, there were only the voices of the arguing Shen Mengqi and Jiang Yan ran from the video on the phone screen listening to their daughter's despairing accusations with each word cutting them deeply. Mr. and Mrs. Jiang's hearts clenched. The clarification that Song Ziheng posted later on ignited their fumes. Mr. Jiang was so mad that his voice shook. Yan Ran has nothing to do with him. The engagement was simply a joke by the elders. Great, great, what a great joke. Song Xiaowei, you've got a great son. Mrs. Jiang read the posts of the netizens mocking her daughter and was so angry that she cried, God. How could these people say these things about Yan Ran? Yan Ran. It's Mommy's fault. Mommy's really sorry. Mommy didn't realize sooner. Mommy made you suffer so much. How upset must Yan Ran be after reading this? No wonder my daughter wanted to kill herself. All these people were too much. Jiang Yan Ran looked at her heartbroken parents and hurriedly soothed them. Mommy, it's all thanks to Wan Wan for saving me this time. Due to some misunderstandings, our friendship hasn't been great, but after this incident, I finally realized who my true friend is. Mrs. Jiang held Yi Wan Wan's hand gratefully. Good girl, thank you so much. It's nothing, Auntie, it's the least I could do. Mr. Jiang let out a long sigh. Yan Ran, it's a good thing that you can take this chance to see things more clearly. We can start all over again. All the things you've suffered, Mommy and Daddy will definitely get back at them for you. Don't you ever do anything so silly again. Chapter 123, Cruel and Wicked. Your dad's right, Yan Ran. If anything happened to you, we wouldn't know how to continue living. Sorry. Sorry. Daddy. Mommy. I'm so selfish. I'll never do it again. Jiang Yan Ran let out a big cry in front of her parents and poured out all of her troubles. Yi Wan Wan waited for the three of them to calm down a little before asking, Uncle, Auntie, how are you going to do her justice? Mr. Jiang snorted coldly. Obviously we'll go along with that Song family's cruel and wicked bastard's wish and call off the engagement. Jiang Yan Ran revealed a worried look, but both our families have had such a long relationship and have many intertwined businesses and projects. Mr. Jiang gave his daughter a reassuring look. Yan Ran, don't you worry about this and let Daddy handle it. Thankfully we found out now. If we were a day late, our 1 billion would have been transferred into the Song's account. I'd rather take the money and feed it to the dogs now than let them have it so easily. Seeing Mr. Jiang's reaction, Yi Wan Wan was relieved. Mr. Jiang, you're awesome. Yan Ran, you have nothing to worry about anymore. You must pull yourself together for the sake of Uncle and Auntie. Wan Wan's right, how could Daddy's daughter be so weak? We must never let others look down on us. Mrs. Jiang looked at her daughter on the bed with a worried look. What should we do now? We can't stay in school for too long. Yan Ran, would you like to come home with us for 2 days? Jiang Yan Ran shook her head and said firmly, Daddy, Mommy, I'm fine. I've thought things through and I don't want to interrupt my studies. Hearing their daughter say that, they thought she must have straightened things out. Both husband and wife were relieved. Wan Wan, then we're going to have to trouble you to take care of Yan Ran for the time being. We really don't know how to thank you. Yes. It's all thanks to you. The couple thanked Yi Wan Wan again and again. Then, since they were still worried about Yan Ran, they talked some more sense into her again for a while before they finally parted reluctantly. Although they hated to part with their daughter, they had to go back immediately to seek justice for her. After the couple left, Jiang Yan Ran suddenly looked towards Yi Wan Wan earnestly. Yi Wan Wan turned and asked, What is it? Jiang Yan Ran's eyes were slightly red. Thank you. Thank you so much. If it wasn't for Yi Wan Wan, with my character, I would have probably kept this from Mommy and Daddy. Even if I came around to telling them, it'd be too late then. Yi Wan Wan smiled and teased, You can't just thank me verbally. If you really want to thank me, then you have to devote your body to me. Jiang Yan Ran was amused. Got it. If I enter the entertainment field in future, I'll definitely turn to you. I could tell just from today that your acting skills surpass those of even the top actors and your PR crisis-solving skills are top-notch. That's right, good call. Yu Wanwan nodded as she agreed and said casually, all right, since we've settled things with your parents, you don't have to worry about anything now. Just put on a facial mask and have a good night's rest. Ask the teacher for a break tomorrow too. Rest a little and readjust your state of mind. We'll start with step 2 after school tomorrow. Step 2. Jiang Yanran was surprised. Giving you your makeover. Yu Wanwan nodded earnestly. TSK, I just remembered that after school tomorrow, He's going to have a basketball match against the neighboring high school. It's the best chance to stir something up. Chapter 124, My Boyfriend's Skills, do we have to? Jiang Yanran hesitated. Although she had complete trust in Yu Wanwan, this was really. Yu Wanwan shot her a look and handed a mirror over. Do you want to look like an abandoned wife in front of everybody in school and get laughed at? Of course not, but can you really do it? Yu Wanwan rubbed her chin. If I mess up, I'll shave my head bald to accompany you. Speaking of which, I've never tried going bald before. Seeing Yu Wanwan's expression, it seemed like she looked forward to trying that look. Jiang Yanran was speechless and the corners of Jiang Yanran's mouth twitched. No thanks. Yu Wanwan placed an arm over her shoulder and started speaking with confidence. Stop looking like the 5 heroes on Langya Mountain preparing to be martyred. 1, alright? I have very good taste. Let's take you as an example. You're not suited for that innocent and pure white lotus look. Just look at your chest, could you ever look innocent? You still want to copy Shin Meng Qi and go with that innocent style? You need to know your own body better, okay? Jiang Yanran suddenly covered her chest and blushed. Yu Wanwan. You. Pervert, I'm speaking the truth, okay? Yu Wanwan glanced several times, drooling. Trust me, you're more suited for the enchanting and alluring, radiating and domineering queen look. Firstly, you'll need to change your boring straight black hair. You have thin hair, so this hairstyle looks like you have seaweed glued to your hair. Do you know how ugly it is? Anyway, you just have to listen to me once you get to the hairdresser's tomorrow. Jiang Yanran thought about it. If her hair was ruined, she could just wear a hat, so she agreed. As long as you don't make me dye my hair green, I'm fine with it. Do as you wish. Are you sure? Even if I want you to cut your hair short? Yu Wanwan asked. Jiang Yanran laughed. I don't even want that man anymore. Why would I be sad over this hair that I kept for him? Yu Wanwan nodded, pleased. Not bad, not bad. You're worthy of being my student. One night went by. Jiang Yanran didn't return to her dorm. Instead, she slept over at Yu Wanwan's place. When Yu Wanwan woke up the next morning, she didn't wake Yanran up. Instead, she washed up quietly and left for class. As they went to bed late last night, Yu Wanwan was very sleepy. Once she reached class, she laid on the desk to catch up on her sleep. On the contrary, the Xia, who was usually asleep, looked very energetic. He even arrived earlier than her today. Seeing Yu Wanwan arrive, the teenager's eyes seemed to light up and he handed her a small slice of exquisitely decorated cake which looked like a piece of art. Wanwan, have you had your breakfast? This almond cake is delicious, do you want to try it? It was the gentle voice of the hunk of many girls' dreams, but to Yu Wanwan, it felt more like the voice of a life-seizing devil. I don't like almonds. Upon hearing that Yu Wanwan didn't like almonds, Xia's face stiffened for a fleeting moment. What do you like, then? Yu Wanwan was on the verge of collapsing as she answered dryly, there's too many to say. I'm begging you, man. Don't talk to me anymore. Do you know how many people are staring at me right now? Seeing that Yu Wanwan was in a bad mood, Xia frowned. Wanwan, you didn't sleep well last night? Yu Wanwan took a deep breath. This can't go on. Looks like I need to use my ultimate move. Thus, Yuan kept her head down and continued to lie on the table as she blurted out, "Yeah, I didn't sleep well because my boyfriend's too skilled." Next to her, there was a gust of cold wind and a dead stillness. A complete silence. Chapter 125. Remarkably effective. Yuan didn't care to see her deskmate's reaction and fell asleep peacefully. In a daze, she had a dream. There were sounds of gunshots, explosions and screaming everywhere. She could only see fresh blood and blazing fires all over the place. She was already exhausted but had to keep running and running. Her surroundings were filled with fearful people and there were people dying next to her continuously. She could be next. The smell of death was getting closer and closer. She wasn't sure how long she ran for, but the road seemed never-ending. Finally, she reached a dead end and there was only a cliff up ahead. Behind her was a dark vortex and in front was a murderous aura getting closer and closer to her. She couldn't retreat, so she took out a knife and cut those people's necks one by one. Fresh blood soaked the earth. Ring, the bell rang, it was the start of class. Yuan woke up in a shock, her whole body drenched in cold sweat. Damn it! Why did I have this nightmare again? Ever since she'd gone through that terrifying attack overseas, she dreamt of this scary and gruesome image frequently. However, she wasn't afraid of those images. Instead, she was frightened by her cold-blooded and ferocious eyes in the dream. It didn't feel like myself in the dream. Beside her, Si Xia noticed that Yuan seemed to have a nightmare and he furrowed his brows like he was about to say something. But then, the unexpected, "My boyfriend's too skilled," popped into his head and like a curse stopping him from speaking, he immediately shut his mouth. As her ultimate move was remarkably effective, Yuan had peace for the whole day. After school, she immediately headed back to the dormitories to look for Jiang Yanran. As there was a basketball match in school that day, there were many people who wanted to watch, so the class monitor gave them a day off and they didn't have rehearsal today. After she went back, Yuan looked at her normally empty dormitory that was filled with things. Jiang Yanran, who was packing her things, saw that Yuan had returned and spoke apprehensively, "I've requested for a change of dormitory from the teacher. Since I'm on leave today, I brought my stuff over. If you have problems living with me, I'll request for some other arrangement." Yuan didn't mind, but she was slightly worried. What if Si Han appears again like last time? Jiang Yanran would have a big scare. Forget it, I'll just give Si Han a call later. Having a roommate's not a bad thing anyway, it's a legitimate reason and I won't have to be scared that he'll appear suddenly anymore. Why would I mind? I would have allowed you to stay over even if you didn't mention it. With her situation, she definitely can't stay with Shen Meng Qi any longer. After Yuan spoke, she looked at Jiang Yanran and asked, "Oh yes, can I ask you something? Does Chu Feng from the neighboring Jin Xiu School's basketball team have a crush on you?" "How did you know?" Jiang Yanran was a little taken aback. "I saw his love letter to you in the garbage," Yuan replied. Jiang Yanran was stunned and felt slightly awkward, but she didn't deny it. "He did write me a love letter to confess. At the time, I was in love with Song Zihang and didn't care about him." "Why did you suddenly bring this up?" Yuan rubbed her chin and said, "Send him a text and ask him out for dinner." Jiang Yanran froze, "Huh? But I'm not interested in him at all. Actually, I'm not interested in anybody. Anyway, I just fell out with Song Zihang. Is this good timing?" Yuan naturally knew what she was worried about. She held her hand and spoke earnestly, "My dear, how would you know if you haven't tried? The best way to forget a relationship is to start a new one. Most importantly, as long as you believe me and do what I say, I promise that Song Zihang will definitely be so pissed that he'll vomit blood." Chapter 126. Why don't you broaden your horizons? Let me tell you. You thought you couldn't live without him, thought he was your entire world when in fact, you were just sitting in a silo, limiting yourself. It's such a big world, why don't you broaden your horizons instead of clinging on to Song Zihang? Chu Feng came from a good family. He was good in his studies and sports as well. He was also way better looking than Song Zihang, which was enough to spite Song Zihang for sure. On one hand, she suggested it to spite Song Zihang, but on the other hand, she was worried about Jiang Yanran. Given Jiang Yanran's character, even if she decided to not commit suicide, this incident must have traumatized her greatly. With her paranoid temperament, she might never trust a man anymore. It'd be great if Jiang Yanran and Chu Feng worked out, but if they didn't, it'd be good to have her attention diverted as well. In fact, there were quite a number of people who were interested in Jiang Yanran. She could only remember Chu Feng because in her previous life, after Jiang Yanran took her own life, Song Zihang immediately invested in a big production and specifically requested to have Shen Mengqi as the lead actress. At the premiere of that movie, Chu Feng suddenly ran up on stage like a madman and beat Song Zihang up. That incident was very serious and everybody gossiped about it. It was said that afterwards, Song Zihang started legal proceedings against him but was unsuccessful as Chu Feng had a strong family backing, so they ended things amicably. She could still remember that man's raging and mourning expression on the screen to this day. At that point, it had been a few years after Jiang Yanran got married, but this man still kept thinking about her after all those years. Thus, Yi Wanwan felt that this man wasn't bad and was worth a shot. Upon hearing what Yi Wanwan said, Jiang Yanran smiled bitterly as she mocked herself. How could Song Zihang be pissed? Although that was what she said, in the end, she still listened to Yi Wanwan. Maybe Yi Wanwan's right. I should broaden my horizons. Yi Wanwan let out a sigh of relief after witnessing Jiang Yanran send the text. Then, she eyed her from head to toe and frowned. Don't tell me you're wearing this today. What's wrong? These are the nicest clothes I have. I picked these out on purpose today. Jiang Yanran said. Yi Wanwan let out a long sigh. It's more like she's the one with problems with her aesthetic taste. Could her fashion sense be any worse? It's plain white and unflattering like an old rag. How is that nice? It's the most trendy piece now. Artistic ghastly girl in a cloth kind of style, is it? Yi Wanwan rolled her eyes and dug around Jiang Yanran's wardrobe. With one look, she took out a floral dress. Change into this. There were large vintage flowers imprinted on it, but it wasn't over the top. It was attractive, young and vibrant, suited for her style and age. On other people, it would look quite dull, but on Jiang Yanran, she could definitely pull it off. Jiang Yanran looked at the dress, slightly taken aback. You really know how to pick them. This is my most expensive dress. My mother gave it to me on my birthday. It's brand C's limited edition set. But the colors are too loud and showy, so I've never worn it before. Go try it, go try it. I want to see it. Yi Wanwan stared at her with her eyes glistening, face full of anticipation. Jiang Yanran laughed in annoyance. All right. No matter how hard her mother tried to convince her in the past, she never tried on anything that Song Zihang wouldn't like. But as for Yi Wanwan, though she knew very well that she didn't have the best taste, she had some inexplicable trust towards her. Chapter 127, Transformation. Are you done? Do you need help? Yi Wanwan asked impatiently as Jiang Yanran had been inside for over 10 minutes and hadn't come out. Jiang Yanran's uncertain voice came from the bathroom. Wanwan, I think I'll change out of it. I feel weird. Yi Wanwan couldn't wait any longer, so she simply pushed the door open and went in. Seeing Jiang Yanran in that dress, Yi Wanwan was stunned. Although she knew that Jiang Yanran was definitely suited for it, she was still surprised. Damn. I knew you had a good figure. But I didn't expect it to be this good. Usually, Jiang Yanran preferred to wear oversized, artsy clothes that didn't accentuate her figure at all. However, the style of this dress showed all of Jiang Yanran's assets. Yi Wanwan thought how well-suited this dress was as Mrs. Zhang's gift as a rite of passage for her 18-year-old daughter. Looking at the reflection of Jiang Yanran in the mirror, Yi Wanwan had the sense of a young girl breaking out of her cocoon to become a butterfly. "You're teasing me again," Jiang Yanran cried. Watching Jiang Yanran's annoyed and ashamed expression, Yi Wanwan laughed. "I'm speaking the truth, okay?" Since Jiang Yanran was still young, it was still too early for her to have the aura of a domineering queen. But right now, she was like a budding flower, revealing the charms of a woman while displaying a teenager's innocence. It was even more moving. "Don't worry, trust me, it's not weird at all. You're just not used to it. If you want to talk about weird, it would be that your hairstyle and your temperament don't match at all. Pack up and let's head to the hairdresser's." "Are you sure?" "I'm definitely sure. Do you want me to propose this idea to you with 10,000 more words?" "Alright then, let's go, let's go." They quickly packed up and Yi Wanwan dragged Jiang Yanran out of the door eagerly. As many people would be gathered at the school's basketball court to watch the match, most other public places would be empty. At the hair salon, Yi Wanwan made the hairdresser follow her request strictly and changed Jiang Yanran's hairstyle. The hairdresser was initially quite annoyed at Yi Wanwan's pretense in knowing anything about hairstyling and bossing him around. But in the end result left him speechless. The girl in the mirror changed her dreary and boring straight black hair into a head of honey-colored loose curls reaching her collarbone, making her appear more radiant and fashionable. Initially, he thought that it would be an awkward length and he also didn't understand what Yi Wanwan meant by unawakened curls. Who knew that the end result would be so fantastic? With just a change in hairstyle, the girl in front looked as if she'd transformed into a different person, attracting the eye of any passerby. "Miss, you're good. Where did you find this hairstyle? It's really nice." The hairdresser had nothing more to say. What he couldn't figure out was that although this girl clearly had good aesthetic taste, why did she make herself look like that? At this moment, seeing her own reflection in the mirror, Jiang Yanran seemed to have lost her senses too. She had very little self-confidence and after finding out about Song Zihang and Shen Mengqi, she felt even more self-conscious. She kept thinking that Yi Wanwan was simply trying to make her feel better with her compliments. "I never knew there's this side of me." "What is it? Are you blown away by your own beauty?" Yi Wanwan laughed. "It looks really good," Jiang Yanran nodded honestly. After all, as a girl, seeing herself become better looking brightened up her mood. "More like stunning, okay. The big transformation is done. Let's head over to the basketball court and find a good seat." Yi Wanwan was secretly ecstatic. Chapter 128, Isn't He Silly? Today's basketball match was the last match for the seniors. It was a farewell match so it was particularly packed with people. Yi Wanwan stood by the entrance and scanned the court. She could see the two teams warming up but couldn't find Chu Feng. He probably hadn't arrived yet. As for Song Zihang, his tall and big body stood out conspicuously in the second row of the arena. Sitting with him were Shen Mengqi, Fang Qin and a few other girls from Class A. Those girls looked at Song Zihang with gleaming eyes, full of worship. But in Song Zihang's eyes, there was only Shen Mengqi. Song Zihang trained his eyes on the girls in front of him and spoke somewhat emotionally, "Thank you for coming to cheer for us." "Ha, Captain Song. You mean to thank Mengqi for coming to watch your match? We're just here incidentally. With Mengqi's support, today will definitely be Captain Song's home game. We'll wipe out Jin Xiu completely. That's for sure. It's the power of love." Shen Mengqi wore a long light green dress today, looking very fresh and elegant. She blushed as she shot a look at the crowd teasing her, "Stop messing around. It's only right to cheer for our own school's basketball team." Yi Wanwan observed from a distance as she clicked her tongue. Jiang Yan brought water and food and washed the clothes for the entire basketball team but didn't even get a single word of praise. Shen Mengqi, on the other hand, merely sat there to watch a match and he was beyond touched. Are you okay? Yi Wanwan glanced at Jiang Yan, worried. Jiang Yan took a deep breath and looked away from those two people flirting with each other. I'm fine, let's go. Ever since he posted that reply on the forum, Song Zihang had been unscrupulously courting Shen Mengqi. The two of them walked in a single file towards seats in the front row. The spectators on the basketball court started whispering once they saw Yi Wanwan, but Yi Wanwan already had quite the reputation, so everybody wasn't too interested in her. Very quickly, everybody's attention turned towards the girl behind her. Everybody's eyes lit up the moment they saw Jiang Yan. Especially the guys. Wow! Look! A beauty! Which class is this beauty from? How come I've never seen her before? Isn't this Jiang Yan from Class A? She's just had a change of hairstyle and clothes. Damn! I must be blind. I didn't expect that Jiang Yan would be so stunning. Her figure's fantastic too. The commotion in the basketball court quickly attracted Shen Mengqi and Song Zihang's attention from the first row, and they turned and looked behind them. Song Zihang only faintly heard someone saying, Jiang Yan, before feeling a sense of revulsion subconsciously. Could it be that this woman hasn't given up on me and is coming over to pester me some more? Song Zihang wrinkled his brows as his gaze followed the crowd. In the next second, he was completely stunned. In front of him was a girl in a bright vintage printed floral dress, the fabric displaying her perfect figure and her brown curls making her look beautiful and alluring, no longer looking depressingly plain like before. This girl who's so stunning that she's making every guy speechless is Jiang Yan. Song Zihang couldn't believe his own eyes. At this moment, the chattering around them got louder, especially after seeing Song Zihang and Shen Mengqi. Hey! Don't you find Jiang Yan much prettier than Shen Mengqi? Shen Mengqi was certainly a beauty with her appearance, especially with the right makeup and clothes, but compared to the alluring Jiang Yan, she suddenly looked really plain. She's much prettier, definitely. You can't tell usually. To think about it, Jiang Yan comes from a better family than Shen Mengqi. Her father's a famous director and her mother's a well-known screenwriter, while Shen Mengqi's father used to be a chauffeur for Yi Wanwan. Don't you find Song Zihang silly? Giving up on such a wealthy beauty with a good family who was so loyal to him for a country bumpkin? All these comments naturally reached the ears of Song Zihang and Shen Mengqi. Song Zihang's face darkened while Shen Mengqi's face turned totally pale. Chapter 129, You're the embarrassed one. All these comments naturally reached the ears of Song Zihang and Shen Mengqi. Song Zihang's face darkened while Shen Mengqi's face turned totally pale. How could she accept the fact that one of her sidekicks was actually the center of attention and even being used to mock her? Jiang Yan normally treated her very well and even helped her quite a bit, but what she hated most was her arrogant attitude now, exactly what she hated in Yi Wanwan previously. Just because her father was the Yi family's chauffeur, she had to follow that big missy around like an attendant to please and appease her like she was her ancestor. She was even forced to stay back a year in school with her. Those comments from the people around them were stabbing her in places that hurt the most. The look of surprise in Song Zihang's eyes just now made her expression darken even further. Damn it, why is this completely different from what I imagined? With Jiang Yan's character, after being jilted by Song Zihang recently, how could she be in the mood to doll up and look so radiant? This style of dress also wasn't what she'd usually go for. She knew Jiang Yan very well, and she would never wear something so flashy. Shen Mengqi couldn't figure out the sudden change in Jiang Yan. Could it be due to the trauma? She quickly stopped her train of thought and turned to Jiang Yan with a worried look. Yen Ran, where did you go the past 2 days? We were looking for you everywhere, you didn't answer our calls and we didn't see your things in the dorm when we came back. We were all worried sick, afraid that something happened to you, with Shin Mengqi looking like a beauty in tears. If you didn't know better, you'd think that the person jilted and attacked by rumors was her. Jiang Yen Ran looked at Shin Mengqi's pretense coldly. Thank you so much for caring about me. Yi Wanwan, who was leaning against the seat at the front row, blinked and asked innocently, Mengqi, were you very worried about Yen Ran? Shin Mengqi was suspicious as to why Yi Wanwan came together with Jiang Yen Ran, but she didn't think much about it and thought it was a coincidence. She immediately replied hastily, how could I not be worried? Yen Ran's my best friend too. Yi Wanwan revealed a doubtful look and said softly, oh. You still had the mood to come for a basketball match when you're so worried. Yi Wanwan looked as if she was talking to herself, but her words were loud enough for everyone around them to hear. Shin Mengqi's face changed instantly and she secretly glared at Yi Wanwan. She hurriedly explained, Wanwan, it's not like that. It's because today's match is so important, I just want. Yi Wanwan interrupted her before she could finish, and she nodded with an understanding look, me too, I think this match is really important too. I've been waiting for this match for so long. It's such a pity if I didn't watch it. Yi Wanwan's comment seemed harmless, but it was obviously hinting at the crowd. To Shin Mengqi, a match was more important than the life of her so-called best friend. Upon hearing Yi Wanwan's silly comments, everybody around suddenly sniggered and burst out in mocking laughter. I suddenly find Shin Mengqi really fake now. That's right. Acting like she has a deep relationship with her best friend and looking like she was worried to death when in the end, she's here flirting with Song Ziheng. I think she can't wait for Jiang Yen Ran to die so that she can cling to this big tree that's Song Ziheng. I heard that the Song family will be working with the government on a big project. Their assets will multiply 10-folds instantly. Chapter 130, I won't let you be bullied. Shin Mengqi clenched her fist tightly and called Yi Wanwan an idiot in her heart countless times. A look of hurt appeared on her face as she explained with reddened eyes, it's not like that, I thought that since Yen Ran likes Captain Song so much and today's match was so important, Yen Ran might come to the basketball court, so I came to try my luck. Yi Wanwan was fascinated as she listened. She was wrapped in admiration with Shin Mengqi's ability to twist the facts to justify herself. Jiang Yen Ran lost without injustice. When he saw how hurt and embarrassed Shin Mengqi looked, Song Ziheng protected her instantly. Thinking about how the Song family was no longer what it was before, he steeled himself and looked at Jiang Yen Ran in anger. Jiang Yen Ran, have you had enough? You were the one who spoiled and made everybody around you worried, yet you're still blaming Mengqi now. You think every single person in this world revolves around you, rich princess. TSK, revolves around her. All these years, exactly who was the one revolving around whom? Jiang Yen Ran looked at how Song Ziheng scolded her indignantly to protect Shin Mengqi and her heart was overwhelmed with sadness. I must have been crazy to think that after so many years of feelings, this man would care about me. Seeing Jiang Yen Ran biting her lips, Yi Wanwan narrowed her eyes and said to Song Ziheng, Captain Song, why were you scolding Yen Ran? Didn't she just thank Mengqi for caring about her? Even if you like Mengqi, you shouldn't be so unfair towards Yen Ran, right? Even as Mengqi's good friend, I can't tolerate this. This comment by Yi Wanwan successfully created some doubts. Everybody witnessed Jiang Yen Ran only commenting once from beginning to end while Shin Mengqi was busy acting pitiful and Song Ziheng actually scolded Jiang Yen Ran out of the blue just for her. I thought that Jiang Yen Ran was useless so she got jilted by him. Now I know the reason why. Some people are just too good at acting. When Yi Wanwan finished speaking, she turned to Shin Mengqi and asked, Mengqi, do you think I'm right? What Captain Song said was too unreasonable. At this moment, Shin Mengqi was so frustrated by Yi Wanwan that she wanted to vomit blood. This damn idiot, shut up if you don't know how to talk. She's causing trouble for me with every word that comes out from her mouth today, and I have no clue how to speak logically with this idiot. To protect her pure and perfect image, Shin Meng-chi could only hold it in. Captain Song, don't blame Yen Ran, it was all my fault. Song Zihang was about to speak, but the match started and his coach was rushing him. Meng-chi, I gotta go. Go on then, all the best. Shin Meng-chi said shyly. At first, she thought Song Zihang was just an average guy, mostly because Jiang Yen Ran liked him, but according to the news she heard recently, the Song family appeared to be quite a good connection to have. We'll definitely win. I'll give the trophy to you as a gift. After speaking, Song Zihang went to the court with confidence. Everyone who was crowding around to watch the drama went back to their seats as well and focused on the match. Yi Wanwan and Jiang Yen Ran sat in the empty seats a row behind Shin Meng-chi, diagonally across her. Jiang Yen Ran sat on the chair wearily as she murmured, bashing herself, Wanwan, thank you, I suddenly find myself so useless. Yi Wanwan chuckled softly, girl, you've performed so well today, your utter lack of regard was the best defense against them. If you kept arguing with them like a resentful woman, that would have been a disaster. Leave it to me to embarrass her. Since I dared to bring you here, I won't let you be bullied. Chapter 131, Your concentration's too weak. Boy, hearing Yi Wanwan's protective tone, there was a warmth in Jiang Yen Ran's heart and she smiled. This is the first time I realized that you're so cunning. Shin Meng-chi doesn't even know that she's been ridiculed and she actually thought that Yi Wanwan's dumb. Thanks for the praise, hey. Look. Chu Feng. Yi Wanwan's sharp eyes caught the handsome boy walking out from the rest area. All she saw was a boy in a blue and white basketball jersey with naturally wavy, short, dark brown hair and a headband around his forehead. His exposed muscles were defined and not exaggerated, and his excellent looks were unusually conspicuous amongst the group of boys. Chu Feng. That's Senior Chu Feng. Senior Chu Feng's so handsome. The juniors from the lower levels couldn't restrain themselves and were already screaming, even some girls from Qinghe were screaming. On Jin Xiu's basketball team, Chu Feng wasn't famed for his basketball skills. He was a total amateur at basketball, but he was the most good-looking. However, compared to his normal carefree attitude, Chu Feng's condition today was completely different. The boy's gaze was sharp and he walked to his team with a serious expression. Since his earnest look was different from usual, it made all the girls scream. Yi Wanwan was about to praise him as well, but then, the boy seemed to be fine, but a split second later, he suddenly staggered and almost fell. Yi Wanwan was sure that the moment Chu Feng fell, he took a glance in Jiang Yen Ran's direction. Your concentration's too weak, boy. Yi Wanwan groaned, you almost fell with just one look, how are you going to play in the match later? The spectators gave a good-natured laugh and cheered, do your best, Chu Feng. The hunk's stumbling was quite cute. Jiang Yen Ran looked at the boy scratching his head awkwardly on the court, his expression somewhat shocked. Although she had already decided to give him a try, with her current state, she really couldn't get into another relationship so quickly. However, when she saw the boy's awkward and embarrassed expression, he didn't seem as repulsive as she thought. Jiang Yen Ran was looking in the direction of Chu Feng and strangely felt a hot glare upon her as she met Song Zihang's gaze. Song Zihang was actually looking at me? It must be my imagination. He was probably looking at Shin Meng-chi just now. Yi Wanwan noticed that Jiang Yen Ran was looking at Song Zihang and immediately reminded her, where are you looking, babe? From now on, your line of vision can only be on Chu Feng. You're not allowed to look at Song Zihang at all, remember this. Jiang Yen Ran regained her senses and nodded, yup. From where they were sitting, Yi Wanwan could see Song Zihang's teammates were crowding around him and grinning like they were teasing him. The group of guys turned to look at Shin Meng-chi and Jiang Yen Ran from time to time. Boss. You've got a lot of luck with love. You have two beauties rushing over to cheer you on and even fighting over you. We're so jealous. You'll have enough even if you give one to me. Seriously speaking, this is the first time I realized that Ms. Jiang was so pretty, her figure's great too. I think she's on par with Shen Mengqi. Boss, you really don't want to reconsider? Heh, keep them both, boss. Which man doesn't like the attention of beautiful women? His teammates' comments completely stroked his ego and even made him find Jiang Yan more pleasing to the eye. Anyway, Jiang Yan looked stunning today. Song Zihang had a look of content. Alright, let's not joke around anymore, the match is about to start. We have to win this time. Got it? Got it. Song Zihang, who was busy stirring up his teammates, didn't notice a blazing glare upon him coming from the opposite Jin Xiu team. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.